everyone, my name is Chloe, and today we're here to talk about my most anticipated reads for July. So last month, you guys were so awesome. I was saying that I was thinking about like changing these or doing these differently or maybe scrapping these all together because it's a lot of work and a lot of stress, but also so fun. This is like one of my favorite videos to research, and it's just the filming process. It is a long filming and editing process. So I'm still playing with some ideas. One of which is that I will do this live, and I will just get on a live show and talk about all the books, share my screen as I go through Goodreads and talk about them, and do it that way. And I think that might be what I do next month. The reason I'm not doing it that way this month is because it is Father's Day and I am on limited time. And so I might have to do a chunk here, a chunk there. And so I also debated sharing my screen, but I think then you're not going to be able to see the covers as well. And so I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I went through, I looked up all the books and found the ones that I was interested in, and I double-checked Goodreads to make sure the dates were correct, all of that, and then I haven't really looked at it since. Normally, I try to create a brief synopsis, but my brain just can't hold that many synopses, and so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of look them up together. So the first day that we're going to be looking at is July 1st. July 1st is a publishing day. So as always, these are the most recent dates that I can find. These may move around. In fact, there's one that I'm going to briefly mention in this video that I mentioned in June because it got pushed. And so let's just get into it. So July 1st, we have The Art of Vanishing by Morgan Pager. So I'm going to look it up and we're going to talk about it together. This says, a stunningly original love story between a museum employee and the man in a masterpiece hanging on the walls. A breathtaking debut about time, art, and the enduring power of love. So this is about a woman named Jean. Her life is the same day in and day out. Oh, no, it's actually Jean, probably. Frozen in time by his painter father, the legendary Henri Matisse, Jean observes the ebb and flow of the museum guests as they take in the works of his father and other masters. But his world takes a mesmerizing turn when Claire, a new museum employee, enters his life. Night after night, Claire moves through the gallery where John's paintings hangs, mopping the floors, talking softly to herself to stem her loneliness and gazing admiringly at the masterpieces above. The alluring man in the corner of the Matisse, is he watching her? Why does she feel a deepening pull to him, like he can see her truest self, her secrets? Did he just move? In an extraordinary twist of fate, Claire discovers she can step through the frame of Jean's painting and into a bygone era, a lush, verdant snapshot of family life in France in the throes of World War I. She and Jean begin a seemingly impossible affair, falling in love against the backdrop of the gallery's other paintings come to life, glittering parties, exhilarating horse races, and windswept beach bluffs that they can move through together, and where Claire is seemingly the only modern visitor, alone in possession of this gift. So I think that is going to be really fun. Something I definitely have not read before, and we'll just see. I kind of love that whole like stepping into a different world, stepping into a portal of some sort, and not knowing, being like the outsider. I just think it's so fun. So next is Blood in the Water by Tiffany D. Jackson. So this is, I believe, her middle grade debut. It says, get ready for the creepy beach read of the summer. Mega bestselling and award-winning author Tiffany D. Jackson makes her thrilling middle grade debut with this can't put it down murder mystery set on Martha's Vineyard. Think Jaws for a whole new generation. So it's Sharks, a born and bred Brooklyn girl. She expects to feel like a fish out of water, spending a hot, sticky summer on Martha's Vineyard with family and friends. But her mother insists, because she spends long hours on the phone with her imprisoned father. The Watsons, which is the friends they're visiting, live in the town of Oak Bluffs, a place with a rich black history that fascinates Kaylani. Though the Watsons' daughter, London, is snobby and unfriendly, Kaylani ends up connecting with some of the other kids in town who show her around. The beach is really nice, and there's good ice cream to be had, and maybe there's something to Martha's Vineyard. But then a shocking murder, or was it a drowning, a shark attack, rocks the community to its core. So that is all I'm going to say. She then goes to try to figure it out, and we'll be figuring it out with her. I really like Tiffany D. Jackson and what I've read from her, so I think it's going to be good. We'll see. Then we have Fire Mountain by Dana Mentik. This is the first in a new series. It says, in the shadow of a threatening volcano, long haul trucker Kit Garrido wakes up in her crashed big rig, unable to recall what happened or why she's suddenly in possession of someone's baby. Fiercely independent, she has to admit that perhaps this time she could use a little help. As the threat of eruption grows, former cop Colin Landry refuses to leave his cabin in the evacuation area, which is why he's the only one left who can help Kit escape the crumpled cab of her truck. He doesn't want to go get tangled up in the mystery of the beautiful woman with an abandoned infant, but when he sees the bullet hole in the windshield and the bloody handprint on the interior, he realizes that he's in this thing, like it or not. When two armed men with ill intent approach, the race is on to stay alive, discover the truth, and find the baby's missing mother, all while a deadly mountain rains fire from above. So this is a Christian fiction, romantic suspense, and you guys know romantic suspense can be a little sketchy for me. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I don't, but we'll see. Now we have The Satisfaction Cafe by Kathy Wang. So this says, Joan Lang's life is a series of surprising developments. She never thought she would leave Taiwan for California, nor did she expect her first marriage to implode, especially as quickly and spectacularly as it did. She definitely did not expect to fall in love with and marry an older man, wealthy American and have children with him. Through all this, she wrestles with one persistent question. Will she ever feel truly satisfied? As Joan and her children grow older and their circumstances evolve, she makes a drastic change by opening The Satisfaction Cafe, a place where people can visit for a bit of conversation and to be heard and understood. Through this radical yet pragmatic business, Joan constructs a lasting legacy. So I love this, kind of summery beach read, cafe read. So we'll see. Then we have How Freaking Romantic by Emily Harding. So in this sharply funny solo debut, who does she write with? An aspiring lawyer is forced to work alongside the opposing counsel in her best friend's divorce case, which leads to the biggest irreconcilable differences of love. So this is about a woman named Beatrice. She has a lot to be angry about. The wage gap, the pink tax, the repayment schedule on all those student loans, the list goes on. But that anger is also what makes her such a good friend, the perennial sidekick who fights for her loved ones and happily ever after, even while conveniently neglecting her own happily ever after. So when the marriage of her two best friends falls apart and the divorce proceedings get ugly, Bea is ready to step in and pick up the pieces. First on her to-do list, storm the office of Nathan, her friend's ex-husband lawyer, and tell him exactly what he can do with his divorce petition. But what should end with a few choice words and a slam door spirals into uncharted territory when Nathan shows up at her NYU law office a few days later. As a newly minted adjunct professor and her new colleague, he proves to be annoyingly intelligent, relentlessly patient, and unfairly attractive. Bea still dislikes him, of course, but it's not long before that hate begins to feel a lot like something else. There's just one when you've spent your life focusing on everyone else's love story. It's not easy to take the starring role in your own. And as uncomfortable truths emerge about the divorce that started it all, Bea must choose who's happily ever after to everyone else's or her own. So there's some typos in that synopsis on Goodreads, but hopefully a good one. Okay, next is The Spirit of Love. So this is another magical realism romance, and I really love those. So it says, this is a magical time slip love triangle about a man who's split in two, one version young and carefree, the other suave but jaded, and one woman's quest to reunite his broken pieces. So this is, Finney's got that boss glow. Not only did she just have the best sex of her life, but she's finally about to direct the TV show she's been a screenwriter on for 10 years. Only one thing could floor her, finding out she's been replaced by a hotshot director named Jude. Wait, no, two things. Jude looks exactly like the guy who just turned her bones to jelly. Same dimples, same eyes, but he looks older and a sadness Finney wants to fix. Last weekend, Finney met Sam when he movie-style rescued her from a storm on Catalina Island. Here he is again, just different. Can Sam and Jude be the same man? And if they are, will Finney's love be enough to put them back together? So I love a time travel, magical realism kind of romance. Things I don't love. I generally don't love books that are mentioning that in the synopsis, because then they're probably going to be a little steamy. Then we have Summer on Lilac Island by Lindsay MacMillan. So this is an author I've read before. It says a heartwarming escape about mother-daughter relationships, small-town datings, and all that guides us home. So that's really all I need, but I'll give you more. Broke and newly unemployed, Gigi is heading home to the horse and buggy Mackinac Island that she once couldn't wait to leave behind. She's going to be spending the summer with her mother, and she's not sure what that close proximity will do to their already fraught relationship. Almost immediately, they find themselves in a battle of wills, and they agree to play matchmaker for each other. Both women are certain that the other couldn't possibly understand them, so surely these potential connections will fizzle out before they even begin. Misunderstandings, interference, and near misses are skillfully wielded. Gigi and James circle each other through the course of small-town encounters, cornhole tournaments, church fundraisers, lakeside run-ins, and a fresh nemesis to lovers plot plays out. Meanwhile, Eloise finds sparks for the summer Scottish author that she never thought she'd feel again. But the greatest love story of the summer is the one between Gigi and her mother, Eloise. Oh, so sweet. I cannot wait for that. And I hope, like it says, the categories on Goodreads are summer reads, romance fiction, summer audiobook. But I'm hoping there's a good women's fiction like twist to that. Next is Finding Mr. July by Anna E. Collins. So how fitting, how timely. This says two people with opposite approaches must work together to earn their dream jobs in this charming contemporary rom-com, perfect for fans of Rachel Lynn Solomon and Sarah Adams. So that is the only synopsis there on the paperback. Let's see. On Kindle, it says, intern Holly knows there are pros and cons to everything, including competing in her nonprofit's big fundraising competition. The winning means a full-time job at the new office in Scotland. Scotland is thousands of miles away from her toxic ex-boyfriend. Her pitch includes puppies, lots of them. The only con, working with Jonathan Summers. But if Holly wants her calendar of hot or outdoorsy guys and their dogs to win against everyone else's fundraising ideas, she'll need Jonathan's undeniable talent as a photographer, even if he's the office grump. When their collaboration accidentally sets off to a steamy start, Holly vows she won't be distracted again. But as they scramble to shoot a year's worth of hunks and pups in just a couple weeks, the spark between Holly and Jonathan can't be ignored. So I don't love enemies to lovers. I don't love steamy, but I do love hunks and pups. So will I like this book? I guess we'll see, maybe. Next is The Peculiar Gift of July by Ashley Ream. So again, another very timely read. With a dash of magic and an ensemble cast of oddball small-town characters, this feel-good novel explores forgiveness, family, and the sense of humor it takes to live with the ones we love the most. Say that again. So Eby's End is a small town on the island off the Pacific coast, reachable only by ferry, assuming the gods are with you and it's not a Tuesday. It's comfortable, familiar, okay, fine, sometimes lonely life for resident Anita Odom. That is until 14-year-old July shows up on her doorstep. Taking in the recently orphaned daughter of an estranged cousin had not been on Anita's to-do list. In fact, it's a terrible idea. Anita is ill-suited, ill-prepared, absolutely certain the entire enterprise will end in disaster for both of them. From the moment she arrives, July seems to know what each customer on the island grocery needs. They're small. A housekeeping magazine slipped into old Mr. Daly's basket, or a coconut cream pie pressed in the hands of Pastor Chet. But one by one, these gifts start to change the lives of nearly everyone in town in ways much larger than they or July could have imagined. That sounds so sweet. So again, another like magical realism. I love it. I can't get enough of it if it's done right. Sometimes it's not, but most of the time I really enjoy it. Then we have Save Me by Mona Kasten. So again, this is the start of another series. Let's see, I think it is an Amazon Prime streaming series, and this is in English for the first time. So they come from different worlds, yet they're meant for each other. Money, glamour, luxury, power. Ruby Bell couldn't be less interested in these things if she tried. After being awarded a scholarship to one of England's most prestigious and expensive private schools, Maxton Hall, all she wants is to keep her head down, work hard, and get accepted to Oxford. She keeps her distance from everyone, especially the arrogant, rich, and extremely handsome James Beaufort, ringleader of the school's party boys. When Ruby discovers the scandalous secret about the Beauforts, she's suddenly on James's radar. It only gets worse when James is forced to work with her to plan the school's annual gala. Yet the more time they spend together, the more time they realize they share more than they thought, etc., etc., etc. We've read it before, but I I think I'm going to like it. It seems like that's a theme for July reads, is kind of an enemies to lovers vibe. So we're going to see. Next, we have Our Vineyard Summer by Brooke Lee Foster. So it says, after suffering through her first year of graduate school at Columbia following her senator father's death, Betsy is hoping to spend the summer with her boyfriend, and hopefully in the summer as his fiance. Instead, her mother, a longtime feminist and leader in the women's movement, calls Betsy and her sisters back home to Martha's Vineyard, announcing that they need to sell their beloved summer house to pay off their father's debts. When Betsy arrives on the island a week later, she must reckon with her strained familial relationships, a long-forbidden romance, and the complicated legacy of her parents, who divided the family even as they did good for the world. Following a dual timeline between 1965 and 1978, and filled with the vibrant, sunlit nostalgia of the cherished New England vacation setting, Our Last Vineyard Summer poignantly captures two generations of women navigating love, loss, and womanhood while trying to find the courage to stand up for what they believe in and the strength to decide if the home they once loved was worth saving. So I love it, especially like I am reading right now a lot of books that are about summer homes and summer vacations, and I am just eating them up. I'm eating them up. Next is Send Flowers, and this is by Emily Buchanan. So a heartfelt speculative debut about a greenfluencer who's convinced her late boyfriend has been reincarnated as a houseplant. So Fiona is an eco-influencer called @FoliageFifi. She hasn't left her apartment since her boyfriend Ed died. It's easy to self-isolate when your heart's shattered and the planet you've spent your whole life trying to save is dying right outside your window. But when a houseplant randomly appears on her doorstep with an anonymous note, Fiona feels a flicker of hope. It's not just any plant, it's Ed's favorite. Thinking it's a sign, Fiona pours Ed's ashes into the soil only to wake up to find the plant has vibrantly flowered. And can it talk? There's only one logical Ed is back. The time has a houseplant. Again, this time as a houseplant. So again, with the terrible grammar on Goodreads. As Fiona knows all too well, plants have needs: sunlight, water, fresh air, all of which she can't adequately provide from her dark, stuffy apartment. Intent on keeping Ed alive, Fiona slowly ventures back out into the world. So a little weird, but this plant's talking to her, guiding her, I don't know. It says it is a poignant exploration of the human spirit, the importance of community in weathering life's storms, and love's enduring presence, even in the wake of profound loss. So is it going to be good, or is it going to be a little woo-woo? Don't know, but I hope we'll see. Then we have Building Her a Home by Lisa Carter. So I believe this is a Harlequin love-inspired book, but this says, can one little girl's wish bring two lonely hearts together? When country music singer Noah Brendan walked away from fame to raise his orphan niece, he made a vow never to stay anywhere long enough to be recognized. So when a blast from his past, music teacher Chloe Randolph falls into his arms while trying to rescue Little Lily's cat, it's his cue to leave. But Lily longs for a permanent home, and Chloe desperately needs Noah's help to restore the town's historic theater, promising to keep his true identity safe in return. Staying put wasn't his plan, but could it lead to a future he never knew he was looking for? So, things I love. A character named Chloe. She is a teacher, which I taught before having kids, and I don't know. It just sounds sweet. And the love-inspired ones, I think, I know they're like closed door. I don't know if they're all Christian, but I would read it for sure. Next is Let's Make a Scene by Laura Wood. And so this one, it says it's number 2 in Theo and Cynthia, but I don't know if you have to read them, if you have to read number 1 first. But, oh no, it says, there we go. The companion novel, if I would look at it first before I start talking, this would work. But the companion novel to Laura Wood's Under Your Spell follows Theo Elliott's best friend, Cynthia Taylor, as she's pulled back into a fake PR relationship with Jack Turner-Jones, the one co-star she swore she'd never work with again. So Cynthia gets her first real acting job in a British movie. She's over the moon. There's only one problem. Her annoyingly handsome co-star Jack hates her, and the feeling is mutual. When while they may be at war behind the scenes, the on-screen chemistry is palpable, and the studio sees an opportunity, have them fake a romance to draw crowds. So again, this may be steamy, but then 13 years later, Cynthia and Jack have successfully kept their promise to stay far away from one another until a surprising offer comes to make a sequel to the cult classic that launched their career. But there's a catch. They must also rekindle their pretend relationship. And this time, there's a documentary crew following their every move. So that is so fun to me. A documentary crew, I just think, goodness gracious, what would that be like if there was a documentary crew in my house? Don't know that I want to know. Next is Runner 13 by Amy McCullouch. So this is the author of, goodness, what is it called? Let me see. That's going to bother me if I don't know. She wrote Breathless, and I did not love that. But it looks like she's also wrote a bunch of like middle grade and other things. And so I've only read Breathless by her, and I didn't love it. But this one has a premise that sounds interesting. So it says an exhilarating thriller set against a 250-mile foot race in the Sahara Desert where more than one ultra marathoner will be running for their lives. So is this kind of like The Long Walk by Stephen King? Let's see. 7 years ago, Adri left the running world after a major scandal. She leveled an expensive and, as it turns out, career-ending accusation at one of the world's most celebrated coaches, and then he died suddenly. Now, after years away from the limelight, she's ready to race again. Adri is hungry for a challenge, and she's picked one of the toughest events imaginable, a 250-mile trek through the Sahara Desert, organized by a mysterious and famously sadistic race director. It'll be a true test of her will and her stamina, proof that after all these years she can still do it. But she's also there to get closure on the mysteries that cloud her past. Was her family targeted by one of her coach's defenders? Was his death due to natural causes? She's determined to finish the race and to find answers, but clarity is hard to come by out in the Sahara's extreme conditions. And as a number of runners start dropping out, some from the heat and others from more mysterious circumstances, it becomes clear that there's something out there in the desert trying to stop anyone from winning by any means necessary. Ay caramba. So sounds stressful, but as a runner, I love stories about runners. However, I don't know, that sounds stressful, but also really good. Then we have The Other Brother by Tierney Page. So this is April and James can't be together. He's a musician destined for life on the road, and he's her ex-fiance's brother. They could never work, but what happens when they simply can't stay apart? So I'm going to leave it there because I don't want this video to be hours and hours long, which it already probably will be, but we're going to just keep going. So then we have The Woman at Number 3 by Rebecca Collomosse. So this is, the Kindle comes out July 1st, and I think the paperback comes out a week before, which doesn't really make sense to me, but we're gonna just keep going with it. So I thought moving to a quiet, leafy street with my husband and 2-year-old daughter would be the start of a perfect new chapter, but the house comes with secrets, and so do the neighbors. So she comes over on our first day. Hi, I'm Josie. I live next door at Number 3. She smiles slowly. With her petite frame and pale skin, she looks like a china doll. She bakes cupcakes and offers to babysit. She seems sweet, too sweet. Then strange things start to happen. A cryptic note left on the doorstep, weird noises in the loft. My daughter Poppy starts pointing to shadows and whispering about a girl with no face. I wanted a fresh start, but there's something about our new neighbor that makes me uneasy. I don't like the way she looks at my husband, and now I think Poppy's in danger. So get your kid in danger, and that will definitely change things for you. Then we have My Grandmother's Secret by Laura Sweeney. So this is Grace stares out toward the glittering blue sea from the window in her grandmother's rose-scented bedroom, clutching an old sealed envelope to her chest. With shaking hands, she reads the address. This letter will change everything she believed about her grandmother. So returning to her grandmother's seaside cottage in the beautiful village of Dovecote after the end of her marriage, she wipes a tear from her eye. But beyond the gate, daisy bushes line the path to the house where Grace can remember Lily sitting at the bay window writing letters. She's going to heal her heart, but as Grace begins to go through her grandmother's possessions, she discovers romantic letters from World War II in unfamiliar handwriting, each signed with Henry, or Henri, maybe. She thought her grandmother had shared everything with her, so why doesn't Grace recognize the name? Buried amongst the letters is a sealed envelope addressed in her grandmother's hand. Hesitant to open it, Grace wonders, why didn't Lily send the last letter? And why did she keep it hidden all these years? So she goes on, trying to figure it out. She asks her ex-boyfriend and historian James, and they are meeting back up after 10 years together. And so I think she's going to be finding out about her grandma, finding out more about her ex-boyfriend, maybe. So we'll see. I think this is a Kindle edition only, and so I don't know that I'll read it soon, but it sounds great nonetheless. Then we have Party of Liars. So this is a YA, I believe, about a party. Today is Sophie Matthews' 16th birthday and an exclusive black tie bash in the heart of Texas Hill Country, where secrets are as deep-rooted as the sprawling live oaks. Sophie's dad has spared no expense in his office, or in his renovated cliffside mansion. I'm having a hard time reading. Once thought haunted, is now hosting the event of the season. Then, just before the candles on the 3-tiered red velvet cake are blown out, a body falls from the balcony onto the starlit dance floor. So, it's a killer guest list. Danny, Sophie's new stepmother, who's been plagued by self-doubt ever since the birth of her own baby girl. Orlaith, the superstitious Irish nanny who senses a looming danger in this cavernous house. Michaela, the birthday girl's best friend, who's not nearly as meek as the popular girls assume. Kim, the cunning ex-wife who has a grudge she can't let go of. Everyone's invited in, but not everyone will get out alive. Then we have The Summer You Were Mine by Jill Francis. This is about... a beachy second chance romance set on the stunning Italian coast where messy emotions and life challenges collide in this poignant and enthralling novel. So I don't need to know a lot more, but this is about Ellie and Cristiano, who have known each other their entire lives. Both families hail from Chiavari, a small town on the Italian Riviera. Their grandparents are friends. Their parents are friends. They were friends for a brief moment 14 summers ago. They're almost more than that. So now, years apart, they're going back to like an unlikely second marriage between her grandmother and his grandfather. But while everyone's celebrating, she's reeling from very public implosion of her career as the host of a sports talk show, plus overthinking her past and perceived flaws in light of the recent discovery that she's neurodivergent. Chris, a newly retired elite swimmer, also arrives adrift after being accused of using a banned substance. So, reunited in a place where summer dreams come true, Chris and Ellie make a deal. An exclusive interview with Chris to fix her career and an appearance on Ellie's show to clear his name. So that'll be really cute. Next, on July 2nd, we have What Did I Miss by Holly Brunbauer. So this says married young, finally divorced, turning 30, a witty rom-com for all fans of Sally Thorne and Beth O'Leary. So don't love Beth O'Leary, but I do like Sally Thorne. Michaela has many a Chico roll impulse buy, not visiting the big pineapple and marrying her high school dud. I have no idea what that sentence means. But now newly divorced, determined to hold on to her independence and facing the big 3-0, Michaela makes a list of all the things she missed out on while her friends were single and running amok in their 20s. But when her one-night stand turns up again and a revenge plot on her ex spirals out of control, she has to decide if some things are worth missing. And if Michaela can't sort herself out before her birthday, she might face the biggest regret of her life. A fresh and feisty romantic comedy about what happens when you meet someone special before truly knowing yourself. So, sounds relatable. July 2nd is when that comes out. And so, it's a HarperCollins Kindle copy. So, I'm not sure what that is. Because usually the off days are like indie pubs or different editions. So, I don't know if that's the first time in the United States or something. But it sounds interesting nonetheless. Then on July 3rd, we have The Cruise Club by Caroline James. So this says, set sail on the Diamond Star for sunshine, romance, and just a little bit of mischief. Cozy crime writer Carmen Cunningham, wow, say that 5 times fast, is in trouble. Her inspiration has vanished, her deadline's looming, and her meddling old elderly mother, Betty, consumes her every waking moment. Hoping to revive her creativity, Carmen books a dream cruise featuring workshops with her literary idol, Ruskin Reeve. It's the perfect plan until Betty insists on tagging along. However, the Diamond Star sails through the sun-soaked ports and magical Mediterranean islands. Carmen finds the escape she needs as she discovers friendships and unexpected sparks with the grumpy but charming Ruskin. But mischief is afoot on board the ship, with talks of items going missing and a secret club that's got everyone talking. Will the cruise reignite Carmen's writing muse or plunge her into the biggest plot twist of her life? Because, as she's about to find out, anything can happen at sea. So escape this summer on a holiday like no other, where fun and frolics are the order of the day. The perfect reads for fans of Sarah Morgan and Judy Lee. I've never read a Judy Lee, but anyway, that one, the Kindle comes out in July, but the paperback doesn't come out until February, I think. So little Kindle sneak peek from Avon. Then we have The Twin by Amanda Brookfield. So this is, I think, another Kindle-only heart-wrenching family drama, perfect for fans of Erica James, Elizabeth Noble, Joanna Trollope, who I've read, and Anita Shreve, who I've read, and meh. This says, from birth, twins Kath and Rob are inseparable. When their mother dies, their bond deepens as their father hastily remarries a woman with a volatile temper whose sole focus is on her own baby, Oliver, who arrives 9 months earlier. When age 48, Rob tragically dies, Kath's world begins to crumble. Her grief compounded further by Oliver's out-of-the-blue decision to attend Rob's funeral, opening old wounds after 3 decades of estrangement. Thrown together, the half-siblings are forced to confront a past that sends shockwaves through both of their lives due to the huge discrepancies in their respective recollections. But could both of their versions of the truth be correct? So we'll see. Then we have Sophie Was Here by Catherine Croft. And so let's see what this one is. I think all of these are Kindle only. This is The Perfect Family, The Perfect New Home, until I found out about the missing girl. When I get the keys to Forest Farm, my boyfriend Charlie's family home, I know I'm the luckiest girl alive. This gorgeous 5-bedroom farmhouse with its sweeping gravel drive has been given to us, no questions asked. And with Charlie's parents living so close, I feel like the door has been shut on secrets of my past, and I've been welcomed into a brand new family. But soon, my perfect new life seems like a nightmare. I hear whispers about Charlie and me when I go to the village shop, and when we stroll the local pub for drinks, the bar falls silent. At first, I don't understand why, but then I learned that Sophie, Charlie's girlfriend, disappeared when she was 17. Charlie was on holiday when she vanished, but when I ask him about it, the coldness in his eyes chills me to the bone. How well do I know the man I'm living with? So, and then one lonely evening, I make my way down to the basement, and under the light of the single bulb scratched into the ugly gray walls, I see Sophie Was Here. Yikes, that sounds scary. Then we have Daughter Missing by Jill Childs. This one says July 6th, and I don't know if that's accurate or not. There's like 1,000 versions of it on Goodreads. So let's see. Daughter Missing, Jill Childs. There's literally 4 different ones, and they all say July 6th, but none have a synopsis. Let's see if this one does, maybe. Yes. Okay, so a psychological thriller. This is a mother will stop at nothing to save her daughter. When Kate's daughter embarks on a gap year, Kate's worst nightmare becomes a reality. A frantic call from an American woman reveals that their daughters traveling together have gone missing. Desperate and determined, Kate's search takes her from London to Europe. London is in Europe, friends, and finally to America. So I don't know what that means, but what she doesn't know is that her daughter's disappearance is linked to a stepson she hasn't seen in years, a man who was disinherited after his father's death and now harbors a dark desire for revenge. As Kate's past and present collide in a terrifying twist, she must race against time to rescue her daughter from a vengeful stepson's deadly pursuit. But how far will she go to protect her child when the stakes are this high? So again with the typos, it doesn't give me high hopes. This is Boldwood Books. It says Kindle and audio. I don't know why there's so many versions on Goodreads, or so many like entries on Goodreads, but that's a complaint about Goodreads. That's for another day. So then we have July 7th, The Secret Locket by Catherine Hoken. So this is Germany, 1941. Naomi's hazel eyes shine with tears as she takes Pascal's hand. Please don't go, she begs him. If you leave me now, we might never find each other again. When Pascal kisses Naomi and presses his mother's locket into her hands, it's a moment she has been longing for her whole life. But when war is declared overnight, their love becomes forbidden. Naomi is Jewish, while Pascal is being pressured to become a Hitler Youth officer by his father. So when Naomi's parents are captured and taken to Dachau, she knows her hometown is no longer safe. With time running out, Pascal smuggles her onto a train, praying she will be able to hide unnoticed until the war is over. Devastated, he watches the train leave, promising himself he'll go find her again one day. As the months turn to years, Naomi remains determined to find her family and leave behind feelings of heartbreak at Pascal for fighting for the Nazis. She knows they can never be together, but she still remembers the pendant he gave her, and hope flickers in her chest like a flame that one day they may reunite. Realizing that everything he was told about the Nazis is a lie, Pascal vows to make amends for his past mistakes. When back in his hometown, he learns that Naomi is in danger. He vows to save the girl who long ago took his locket in his heart. But with war still raging, will Pascal be strong enough to find Naomi? If he does, will she ever truly forgive him for the past? So that sounds like a really good one. And I think that one may have been released in the UK. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe. Okay, so it's a completely different day, and I'm riding solo with the kids right now, and so we're going to hope there's not too much background noise. But on July 8th, we have Our Last Resort by Clemence McCullouch. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but this is the author of The Quiet Tenant, which I really enjoyed. And so this already has kind of lower ratings, but it says, let's see, 15 years ago, Frida and her brother escaped a cult. Now her brother is the prime suspect in a murder investigation, and it isn't the first time. Innocence doesn't bail you out, just makes you easier to trap. Frida and Gabriel arrive seeking a fresh start at the stunning Aura Hotel in the secluded desert of Escalante, Utah. Once they were so close they were able to finish each other's sentences. Now they've grown apart after a tragedy. Now at the Lux Resort, they're able to reconnect. They are ready to reconnect between dips in the pool and hikes on a spectacular desert trail. It all feels like paradise until the body of a dead young woman who was vacationing at the Aura with her powerful, much older husbands discover. When the local police arrive and suspicion quickly falls on Gabriel, Frida is forced to revisit memories from their upbringing in a cloistered cult in upstate New York, their dramatic escape, and the scandal that followed. Frida's belief in Gabriel's innocence never wavered at the time, but now even she can't ignore the mounting evidence against him. So it's alternating between past and present timelines, and there's a shattering climax that uncovers the fate of the murdered Aura guest and poses the question, how well do we ever really know those that we love? So this kind of goes with the whole trope of like what I love about like how far can your kid go? I read a lot of books about that, and like, do you ever really know your kid? What will you do to protect your kid? I feel like it's similar with siblings, and like I said, I like The Quiet Tenant so much. I really hope this one's good. Then we have Falling for You by Carrie Lonsdale. So this says fate reunites a young woman with her ex-husband in a delightful and inspiring novel about family, old loves, and marriages on a dare by Wall Street Journal's best-selling author Carrie Lonsdale. Furniture artisan Melly Hines still abides by her uncle's truism. The only lasting love story is the one between artists and their creation. Having already given her marriage a shot for all of 24 hours during Las Vegas fling, she has made her choice. The wood crafting shop is her family's legacy will always come first. But when her uncle decides to sell to a competitor, Melly's promised inheritance goes belly up. She'll do anything to muddle the deal, including a marriage of convenience to an unforgettable and very practical old friend, the competitor's son, Aaron. With a controlling family of his own and every bit as impulsive as Melly, Aaron is in. After all, this isn't the first time he and Melly got hitched on a whim. The rules of the ruse are simple. Public displays of affection and live together as happy newlyweds. The hardest rule of all, never let feelings get in the way of what they plan to be a purely professional the second time around. So sounds interesting. I really like the whole marriage of convenience. This author has written, let's see, she rated her own book 5 stars, so that's great. Let's see. I can't remember what else she has written, and my computer's not winning any races, but maybe I don't think I've read anything by her. All the Breaking Waves, maybe. Everything We Keep. I have those on my shelf, maybe both of those, if not one or the other. So she's an author that's been on my radar. Haven't read her. Maybe this will be the one. Next, we have Under the Limitry by Amy McCullouch. So, can one Greek summer heal the secrets of the past? Can rediscovering her roots help Kat rebuild the life without her brother? Sounds sad and sounds like also hopeful in summary. Shattered by the sudden loss of her beloved twin, she's struggling to find meaning in a life turned upside down. The comfort of family is both smothering and soothing, but when an unexpected inheritance surfaces, a house on the breathtaking Greek Isle of Agistri, I don't know, from a mysterious uncle she's only just heard of, she dares to dream of a new beginning. Arriving there with its crystalline waters and endless blue skies, Kat finds herself surrounded by lush pine forests, secluded coves, and the scent of citrus in the air. Among whitewashed houses, the warmth of the island's people begin to heal the emptiness in her heart, and in their company, she finds both the courage to face her grief and maybe even the spark of unexpected love. But as she slowly unearths her family's buried past, Kat must confront her own fears about belonging, forgiveness, and the possibility of rediscovering happiness in the unlikeliest of places. So I went to Greece in college as a chaperone for a bunch of high school kids, and you guys, I loved it so much, and the waters are so clear, and like also I grew up in the era of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants where there's a big Greek scene, and since then, like, summer books set in Greece are just the best. And actually we have a neighbor who's a very close friend who is like first generation, second generation American, but they are very, very, very Greek. And I just want to go back. Then we have Finding Grace, which is actually the book that I talked about in June, and it got pushed to July 8th. So Honor seems to have everything. She adores her daughter Chloe and her husband Tom, even if he does work 100 hours a week, but her longing for another baby threatens to eclipse all of it until a shocking event changes their life forever. Years later, Tom makes a decision that ripples through their family's lives in ways he couldn't have foreseen. As the consequences of that fateful choice unfold, two women's paths become irrevocably intertwined. But when old love clashes with new, who will be left standing? What happens when your secrets come back to haunt you? So I think this sounds really great. I think it is kind of literary, but the ratings are really high, and so here's to hoping that it's great. And then we have Second Chance at Sunshine Inn by Amy Clipson. So Amy Clipson writes a lot of Christian fiction. She also writes Amish. I don't think this is Amish, but this says, welcome to Sunshine Inn, a picturesque coastal inn with sweeping views and two new owners who couldn't be more opposite. From bestselling author Amy Clipson, no spice, grumpy sunshine romance, perfect for fans of Anne Marie Meyer and Rayanne Thane. So I've never heard of Anne Marie Meyer, but let's see. So it's two opposites, one in. Everly is a cheerful traveling NICU nurse who can't sit still. She inherits half her godmother's beloved seaside bed and breakfast. She dreams of selling to the place to fund the nonprofit she and her godmother always envisioned. But there's one tiny, her new co-owner. These good reads. I guess I don't often read these like word for word. And it's a rugged, grumpy guy, Cade. You know, they're opposites in every way. She's sunshine. He's grumpy, all that. Clash of wills over the inn. And it's going to be a romance. So it sounds cute. No spice romance. That is exactly what I look for lately, especially. But we'll see if it's good. Then we have The Summer Storms by Sarah McLean. Okay, so this was blurbed by Jodi Picoult. So it says, Alice Storm hasn't been welcome at her family's magnificent private island off the Rhode Island coast in 5 years. Not since she was cast out and built her life in the Storm name, influence and untold billions. Guys, can you tell it's afternoon? And I'm like struggling with words here. But the shocking death of her larger-than-life father changes everything. Alice plans to keep her head down, pay her final respects such as they are, and leave the minute the funeral's over. Unfortunately, her father has had other plans. The eccentric, manipulative patriarch left his family a final challenge, an inheritance game designed to upend their world. The rules are clear. Spend 1 week on the island, complete their assigned tasks, and receive the inheritance. But a whole week on Storm Island is no easy task for Alice. Every corner of the sprawling old house is bursting with chaos. Her older sister's secret love affair, her brother's unyielding arrogance, her younger sister's constant analysis of the vibes, her mother's cold judgment, and all under the stern, watchful gaze of Jack Dean, her father's intriguing and too handsome second in command. It'll be a miracle if she manages to escape unscathed. So that sounds really interesting. And I think Amber Books from Books and Beaches may have read this early. I may have just made that up. I'm not sure, but I've heard somebody actually reading it. So if it was you, let me know if it was good. Then we have You Must Be New Here by Katie Seisey. This is an author that I have on my shelves that, again, I have not read. So it says, a friendship is put to a test when a young woman disappears from a quiet community in a dark, twisty novel of suspense by the best-selling author of Open House and The Vacation Rental. So Sloane has a daughter named Daisy, attends school activities with her other parents, and even has an amicable relationship with her ex-husband. But after 10 years in bucolic Sycamore Glen, Sloane has yet to find someone to call a true friend until Harper and Ben Wilson move in next door. Harper is open, charismatic, and restless. She and Sloane quickly become confidants and fall into deep, intoxicating friendship. Then one afternoon, Daisy's dependable babysitter Margaret fails to show. When texts from Margaret's mother and boyfriend go unanswered, the inexplicable disappearance becomes a cause for alarm. As anxious hours turn into days, suspicion grows and tension tightens as if something is about to snap. When it does, long-held secrets are revealed, and not everyone in Sycamore Glen is who they seem to be. So I think the book that I have by her on my shelf is like a suburban mama drama, and this seems to be the same, so we'll see if it's good. Maybe I'll try to read the one on my shelves and then just move straight into that one, maybe if I can get a copy of it. I think it's also short. Then we have The View from Lake Como by Adriana Trigiani. She, I know, is a pretty prolific romance author, and I'm not sure what kind of romance she writes, but this is about Jess. She's not living the life of her dreams, not even close. In blue-collar Lake Como, New Jersey, her family comes first. Recently divorced from Bobby Belankia, the perfect husband. Hold on, let me get these girls to be quiet, please. Okay, sorry about that. So Jess moves into her parents' basement to hide and heal. Jess is the overlooked daughter who dutifully takes care of her parents, cooks Sunday dinner, puts herself last. Sounds like an Enneagram type 2. Despite her role as the family handmaiden, Jess is also a talented draftswoman in the marble business, run by her confidant, her dapper Uncle Louie, who believes she can do anything once she invests in a better wardrobe. When two families endure loss, her loss and somebody else's loss, the shock unearths long-buried secrets that'll force Jess to question her loyalty to those she trusted. Fueled by her lost dreams, Jess takes fate into her own hands and escapes her ancestral home, Carrara, Italy. From the shadows of the majestic marble-capped mountains of Tuscany to the glittering streets of Milan and on the shores of enchanting Lake Como, the other one, Jess begins to carve a place in this new old world. When she meets Angelo Straza, a passionate artist who works in gold, she discovers her own skills are priceless. But as Jess uncovers the truth about her family history, it will change the course of her life and those she loves the most forever. In love and work, in art and soul, Jess will need every tool she has mastered to reinvent her life. So, fed by the author's cherished Italian roots comes a big-hearted, hilarious novel of the story of one woman's determination to live a creative life that matters, with enough room left over for love. So, this author may have personal experience with this area, and I think that's kind of cool. Then we have This Game is Afoot by Elise Bryant. So she is the author of It's Elementary, which I think is like a PTA kind of drama. And so this one sounds funny. Let's see if we can find it. I was struggling to find it on Amazon or Goodreads, which is really interesting because Penguin Random House is the one publishing it, and so I'm not sure why, because the paperback comes out July 8th, so we're just going to read it from the publisher's website. So this says, a clever and hilarious new mystery about a mother who thinks she has to do it all, even solve a murder. After rage quitting her job, Mavis finally has time to get all the rest she's been putting off, or she should have the time, hypothetically, except she's taken on a new role of supermom. Her hours are filled with chauffeuring her daughter around to extracurriculars, somehow ending up class mom and investigating another mystery. So I don't think this is like a sequel or a companion or anything, but maybe. When Coach Cole, the director of the kids' soccer program, drops dead on a sunny Sunday morning, no one suspects foul play. However, the police soon discover something suspicious left on the field, making it clear that someone had it in for the coach. But who? Sure, parents get mad when he made their precious star athlete sit on the bench, but not that mad. So it's going to be a little bit of a class mom meets maybe like Finley Donovan. I'm not really sure what this is going to be, but we'll see. Then we have Where You're Planted by Melanie Sweeney. So I have never heard of Melanie Sweeney. Have you guys? This one looks cute though. It is a romance. It says single mom Tansy only has room in her life for her daughter and her library, and maybe the next book to add to her collection. Hey, does that sound relatable or what? Like a bookish mama. And maybe the next book, let's see, but after a catastrophic hurricane severely damages her library, she's forced to temporarily move her branch into the adjacent county botanic gardens, where Jack Reed, the world's grouchiest gardener who rescued her and her daughter from the flood, happens to be the assistant director. Jack has always preferred plants over people, having built a strong track record of avoiding relationships ever since the divorce 6 years ago. So Tansy and her quirky band of bookish colleagues' encroachment into his carefully kept territory is a little more than irksome, especially when it means sharing his already scarce resources. Jack and Tansy are tasked with working together on the spring festival, so of course it's going to turn into a romance. It sounds really cute, a very spring type book, very gardening meets bookish meets all the things. I've always wanted a green thumb, don't have one at all, but sounds like a cute book. Then we have Stay Away From Him by Andrew DeYoung. This is, let's see, on the evening she met exonerated murderer Thomas Danver, Melissa Burke let him put her 5-year-old son to bed before coming back upstairs to enjoy the dinner party. Why? Crazy lady. Thomas is so nice and a pediatrician. She didn't know anything then about his wife's suspicious death. So I'm not going to read any more about that because I really like to go into thrillers very blind, but that sounds interesting. Stay Away From Him. I can assume that it is a pediatrician who's not as wholesome as they seem. Then All the Men I've Loved Again by Christine Pride. So this is in 1999, TLC's No Scrubs is topping the charts. Y2K is looming on everyone's mind, and Cora Bell has arrived at college ready to change her life. She's determined to grow out of the shy, sheltered girl who attended an all-white prep in her all-white suburb. There we go. Cora's ready to conquer her fears and find her people, to her place in the world, and herself. What she's totally unprepared for is Lincoln, with his dark skin, charming southern drawl, and that smile. Because how can you ever prepare yourself for the roller coaster of first love with all its glorious, bewildering contradictions? Just when Cora thinks she's got it figured out, a series of surprises and secrets threaten to upend everything she thought she understood about love and loyalty. In the wake of these developments and a shocking tragedy, a new man enters Cora's life, Aaron, further complicating everything. He's the only one who seems to get her, and the letters she writes to him when the two are separated reveal the truth for an inescapable connection. There's only one problem. How can she fall in love with one man when her heart belongs to another? 20 years later, and Cora's all grown up and mostly and has herself cloaked in loneliness like a warm blanket. It's the safest choice, but then an unexpected reconnection and a chance encounter puts her right back where she started. The same two men, the same agonizing decision. Finding herself in this position again will test everything Cora thought she knew about fate, love, and most importantly, herself. So that sounds kind of sweet. Then we have Such Good People by Amy Blumenfeld, another author that I have not heard of. So all of these authors, if you've read them and there's like ones that you think are great, let me know. But this is An American Marriage Meets the Wonder Years, and this emotionally gripping, character-driven novel about the ripple effect of a split-second decision to protect a friend. So the whole butterfly effect thing is something that fascinates me. It's 10 p.m. on a Thursday in the spring of her freshman year of college, and April is standing at the back of a crowded Manhattan bar waiting for her friend Rudy to arrive. Their eyes lock in the moment he enters the room, and in an instant, lives and legacies are altered forever. Within hours, Rudy's arrested. Within days, April is expelled. Within weeks, he's incarcerated, and within months, she meets Peter, a prodigious young attorney who makes her world recognizable again. Nearly 15 years later, April is happily living in Chicago, married to Peter, a mother of 3 with a fulfilling career and a standing yoga date with her girlfriends. On the eve of Peter's election for local office, Rudy is up for parole. Headlines explode about April's past, jeopardizing Peter's campaign and everything they hold dear. Suddenly, April is faced with an impossible choice: protect the life she created, or the person who sacrificed everything to make that life a possibility. Gosh, this sounds really, really like emotionally heavy and morally heavy and really interesting. Then Totally and Completely Fine by Alyssa Sussman. So this is in her small Montana hometown. Lauren Parker has assumed a few different roles: teenage hellraiser, sister of superstar Gabe Parker, and most recently tragically widowed single mother. She's never cared much about labels or what people thought about her, but dealing with her grief has slowly revealed that she's become adrift in her own life. Then she meets the devilishly handsome actor Ben Walsh on the set of her brother's new movie. They have instant chemistry, and Lauren realizes that it has been far too long since someone has really and truly seen her. Her rebellious spirit spurs her to dive headfirst into her desire. When a SEXY encounter becomes something more, Lauren finds herself balancing old roles and new responsibility. So I still think this is going to be more women's fiction than romance, but there's still plenty to contend with. Small town rumors, the complications of Ben fame, and her daughter's unpredictable moods. An unexpected fling seemed simple at the time, so when did everything with Ben get so complicated? And is there enough room in her life for the woman Lauren wants to be? Alternating between Lauren's past with Spencer and her present with Ben, this illuminates what it's like to find a life-changing love and be true to oneself in the process. So again, I'm hoping, like, anytime they use SEX in the description, or any variation of it, I'm like, maybe not great, but hopefully it's good. Then we have Fast Boys and Pretty Girls by Lo Patrick. They say you can never go home again, and sometimes you shouldn't. Following a semi-successful career as a teen model in New York City, Danielle Greer has moved back to the mountains of North Georgia and is living in her childhood home with her husband and 4 daughters. Relatable, except not. I mean, I have a husband. I have 4 daughters. One stifling, lazy afternoon, the girls are exploring the ravine behind the house when they come across a body. Danielle knows the body doesn't belong to Benji Law, a younger local misfit who Danielle had an illicit relationship with as a teenager. That's weird. Like, of course, why would it be? No, his body was found right away after he was killed in a motorcycle accident on the road in front of her family's house. Danielle has a good idea who the body might be, but she doesn't know how it got there. When local police officer Katie Benson is called in to investigate, Danielle's world is turned upside down, and she's thrust back into the dark, confusing days leading up to Benji's death, battling the things she remembered with the things she can't forget. So Wow, that sounds definitely really heavy. Then we have a nonfiction called The Jailhouse Lawyer, and this is by Calvin Duncan and Sophie Cole. So it says a searing and ultimately hopeful account of Calvin Duncan, the most extraordinary jailhouse lawyer of all time, and his 30-year path through Angola after a wrongful murder conviction, his coming of age as a legal mind while imprisoned, and his continued advocacy for those on the inside. So I just recently read Just Mercy, and it just brought to light some things about the American justice system that made me really think more about things. And so when I saw this, it really caught my eye. But we'll see. You guys, it was just my daughter's birthday, and we have balloons floating all over the house. I don't know. I just saw the string floating in my peripheral vision. So hopefully that wasn't too distracting, and hopefully she doesn't float back towards me. Then we have Chance at Life. This provides a portal into the lives of a dialysis unit regulars, both patients and staff. Together they confront life's limitations and its certain end with unique stories of struggle, hope, and resilience. And so it does not say what genre this is. I think it is fiction, but I'm not 100% sure because it's written by a MSN CNP, and so I'm not sure. Rachel is a novice nurse whose well-intended choices put her career in jeopardy. Her personal life disintegrates when she discovers that she's pregnant and her fiance abuses her. So the author's name is Susan, not Rachel, so I'm guessing this is fiction. Kidney failure derailed Darnell's career path. He waits in vain for a transplant, losing hope as long days on dialysis continue and consume his future. Elizabeth, a seasoned nurse practitioner, faces her own failing kidneys and decides to refuse dialysis, planning to let nature take its course, though her daughters and her doctor won't let it go so easily. The dialysis unit is a high-stakes cauldron of conflicts and ethical dilemmas. A machine malfunction claims one patient's life, another patient buys a black market kidney, and another patient withdraws from dialysis entirely, throwing herself a goodbye party. COVID-19 arrives. Oh gosh, bringing an entirely new dimension to the daily dramas. So, wow, that sounds very interesting. Then we'll do a couple more here. We have Just What the Doctor Hired by Amanda Nelson. This is on July 9th. So this is another either indie pub or Kindle pub. Let's see what it is. It's +1 booktube, but I think they're companions. This is about, let's see, it's a paperback too by Wild Rose Press. So I don't know, but student Autumn Hayes' motto, no men until she completes her Bachelor of Nursing degree. Years before, Autumn learned the hard way that men are just a distraction she can't afford until she's established her career and what she wants. While moonlighting as a +1 companion pays the bills, she struggles to follow her rules after meeting her newest contract. Pediatric hospitalist Jensen Edwards is still recovering from a bad breakup that left him the talk of the hospital. Now he's receiving a Best Doctors Award, but after he tries Autumn as his +1, Jensen is on edge. So I hope this isn't like a steamy +1. Like, is that the kind of thing, or is it like a companion, like a date? Let's see. If word gets out that he hired a companion, rumors are bound to circulate, making work unbearable again. Their chemistry as a fake couple is undeniable, but can a chance at a real relationship override their fear of commitment? So I guess we'll see. That one I'm cautiously optimistic about. I really love medical romances, and so I was kind of hoping it was that. Then we have Every Mother's Worst Nightmare by S.E. Lyons. So you guys, I don't know if I'm going to like this because I've got enough nightmares, but it's called Every Mother Dreads. You knew it was coming. You're at work on a hot summer afternoon when the phone vibrates in your handbag. Your heart beats faster as you scrabble to find it because somehow, even before you answer it, you know it's the call every mother fears. It's the one you've been waiting for. Your daughter's in the hospital. She was found this morning confused and alone. She doesn't remember anything. You wish you had never let her go away for the weekend. You can't understand why her brother wasn't watching over her like he promised and why you didn't protect her. You race to be with them before it's too late, but then the police find a body deep in the woods right next to where your children were staying. You'll do anything to keep them safe, but knowing what you know, do you need to protect your son, your daughter, or yourself? So a moral dilemma, a motherhood moral dilemma, sign me up. So this next book is coming out July 11th. It's the Marriage Monitoring Aunties Association, and this is coming out on Kindle and audio. So that is a really kind of awful title, but Sadie is ready to meet the one and finally fulfill the Nigerian dream. So far, God hasn't performed that little miracle quite yet, but it'll happen this year for sure, especially if her mother, two best friends, and younger sister, and all those in the unofficial Marriage Monitoring Aunties Association have anything to say about it. She might love her job, have great friends, and even own her own home, but according to the meddling aunties, this is why she's still single at 50. What if her prayers for the perfect man have got lost? Or maybe Sade's happy ever after is right on time. So sounds sweet. Okay, let's keep going and talk about a few more. So we have July 15th, Wayward Girls by Susan Wiggs. So this, Susan Wiggs is another very prolific author. I was given the opportunity to interview her, and her writing style is fascinating to me. Her books are very, very hit and miss with me, but she's a very interesting human being. So it says it was a place frozen in time, an ancient fortress haunted by echoes that whispered against the gray stone in a mysterious heavy rhythm, as though this place was entirely separate from the rest of the world. A sign by the inner door read, Our Lady of Charity Refuge and Sisters of the Good Shepherd. Marin's breath caught in her throat as the comprehension crept over her. The place was once mentioned in a scandalized whisper from the older girls at school. It was what the people gossiped about when a girl suddenly stopped showing up to class. It was the place angry parents like her own mother threatened their daughters. I'll send you the nuns. Just you see if I won't. Amid the turbulence of the Vietnam era in the all-American city of Buffalo, New York, teenage girls were condemned to forced labor at the Good Shepherd, a dark and secret institution controlled by the Sisters of Charity nuns. In 1968, we meet 6 teens thrust into confinement at the Good Shepherd, merely for being gay, pregnant, or simply unruly. So it talks about all 6 of the girls, but it's interesting with Home for Wayward Girls being at the same, still kind of new and very popular. It's interesting that this topic is being broached again, but I'm excited to see what Susan Wiggs does with it. Then we have the Banned Books of Berlin. This is by Daisy Wood. So that says, Berlin, 1933. The skies are burning bright with huge bonfires of banned books. The Nazi party is swelling in number. Berlin is no longer a safe place for young Freya. She can only watch on horrified as her beloved city falls to fascism. And the usually law-abiding Freya is forced to make a choice: continue being a bystander or sacrifice herself to save the lives of others. New York, present day. Maddie commutes home to her family's to reset. Struggling to fully turn off from her work, she's shocked to come across a pre-war German diary amongst her grandpa's things. And when she starts to dig into the diary, Maddie's shocked by what she finds. And so begins a journey that will take Maddie beyond America as she searches for the truth about Freya and how she's changed people's lives across the globe. So that sounds interesting. Then we have The Sands of Blue Beach by Rachel Hawk. This book says Emery Quinn finds herself at a crossroads between her career and her complex family dynamics. Living at home in Cleveland and clinging to memories of her late mother, Emery struggles to connect with her blended family. Seizing the chance for a fresh start, she accepts the position of editor-in-chief at the struggling Sea Blue Beach Gazette. Returning to the Sands Motel in the picturesque Florida town, she's flooded with bittersweet memories and past regrets. Architect Caleb Ransom has returned to Sea Blue Beach, a place filled with both cherished and painful memories. He means to make a difference for his family and hometown by raising his abandoned nephew and preserving the history of the Sea Blue Beach as the leader of the new historical society. He never expected to see Emery Quinn again, the girl who captured his heart 16 summers ago. As Emery and Caleb rekindle their friendship and explore a chance at love, they join forces to unite Sea Blue Beach, a town bitterly divided into East and West, old and new. Together, they navigate family challenges, professional setbacks, and a high-stakes royal visit, all leading to a place where forgiveness and love reshape their journey back to each other. So Rachel Hawk writes both Christian fiction and just clean fiction, and this one is not labeled as Christian fiction, so I'm guessing it's just clean. However, it is published by Bethany House, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but regardless, I'm here for it. Then we have The Inconvenient Unraveling of Gemma St. Clair by Meg Myers Morgan. Say that 5 times fast. Gemma Sinclair is coming undone. At first, she seems to have it all: a successful career as a therapist, a devoted husband, 2 young sons, and a beautiful home. But upon closer inspection, there are serious fractures rooted in professional demands, family stresses, and most noticeably the unexpected onset of postpartum depression. After a frightening accident injures her newborn son, Gemma lies about who's responsible. As her lies compound, I hate these books because they stress me out, and pressure builds, she has no choice but to confront long-buried family secrets. Gemma soon finds her career threatened, her marriage in jeopardy, and her sanity stretched to the breaking point. With poignant humor, crackling dialogue, and unflinching honesty, The Inconvenient Unraveling of Gemma St. Clair is about a a woman in crisis determined to find her way through past trauma toward love, forgiveness, and ultimately rebirth. So this also doesn't have genres, so I'm not sure what genre this is going to be, but out of the 40 ratings it has a 4.53, so that's a really good rating, although not a lot of people have read it yet. Then we have, let's see, The Writer by Valerie Coe. I'm not sure how to say this last name. It says that, let's see, Kara Jenkins is a successful author about to embark on her 30th novel, but as she sits at her desk to write, she realizes that she has no ideas left, and as the pressure mounts for her to deliver, she begins to fear that her career is over. Then the letters start. At first, they seem harmless, but as the messages grow darker, Kara becomes convinced that someone's watching her, waiting for their moment to strike. Her husband dismisses the notes as stupid pranks, but Kara feels them pulling her back to a past she can't escape. With no easy answers, Kara does what she does best and begins to write. But the more words that come, the more fantasy and reality begin to blur, and soon her imagination and her accusations begin to run wild. With reality blurring into fiction, Kara struggles to see the truth. Is someone really watching her, or is her unraveling mind feeding her paranoia? And how will her story end? This time, her deadline has never felt more deadly. So, an unreliable narrator, and I don't know. I love books about authors, bookish books, and so this sounds like something I might like. Then we have Not His Wife by L.G. Davis. This is Kindle only. So this says, I wake up in a dark bedroom, gazing into a stranger's amber eyes. He runs a hand down my cheek and whispers something that makes my heart, welcome home, darling, I'm your husband. That makes, gosh, these Goodreads things, you guys, I've never realized how poorly written they are. My whole life until this moment is gone. I have amnesia after a terrible accident, and now I just have to trust what my husband Evan says, but everything feels wrong, from the name he gives me, Cora, to the home he says I loved. As I explore a sprawling old farmhouse, I find another woman's belongings, and Evan says they belong to the woman who lived here before us. I begin to get to know her, piecing together her life, although I can't remember mine. Why would she leave precious items behind, like her photos and her locket? Then I hear something in the basement that sends a shiver down my spine. Evan's elderly aunt who lives with us hears it too. She hisses to me, her eyes darting fearfully, get out. You are not his wife. But I'm not going anywhere, because the answers to who I am and what happened to the woman who lived here first are in this house. Yikes. Okay, I've got to go help kids for a second, and then I'll be back. Okay, we're going to keep going. This is going to be a long video, so I hope you guys are comfy. Grab a snack if you need it, and let's just keep going. So on still July 15th, we have Only Lovers in the Building by Nadine Gonzalez. So this says, wanted, no needed. A summer escape with beach reads, cocktails, and a little romance on the side. After her legal career comes to a sudden and humiliating end, Lillian books a restorative summer rental at the Icon, a quintessential Art Deco building in Miami Beach, where her only plan is to bask in the sun, read, and sip cocktails. But soon she's enchanted by the colorful community, including university professor Benedicto Romero, resident tortured poet whose sole intention for sabbatical is to indulge in brooding introspection. When they discover a shared passion for romance novels, Lily and Ben are soon spending hours together reading by the pool, the spark between them unwittingly giving the other residents the impression that they're experts in matters of the heart, no matter that in real life their disastrous love lives bear little resemblance to the stories they're reading. But while Ben and Lily can pinpoint a trope a mile away and give excellent advice to others, they can't make sense of the sizzling chemistry between them, and the suggestion of a professional podcast suddenly forces them to consider the long term. So what if it means working even closer together? So what if their banter makes Lily's head spin? It's a summer of taking chances, but a word to the Miami isn't the place for growth and rebirth. It's the place to get messy. So for fans of slow burn, friends to lovers, close proximity, beachy reads, books about books, black love, eccentric and charming characters a la Only Murders in the Building. So that sounds cute. Hopefully it is. Then we have The Unraveling of Julia by Lisa Scottolini. So Lisa Scottolini is an author that I may be close to reading to zero. I'm not sure on that. I really like her. I've read a lot of her stuff. So this says, let's see. In a delicious escape that blends suspense, atmosphere, and heart, author Lisa Scottolini crafts a sweeping gothic tale in which a young widow, emotionally distraught after the shocking death of her husband, inherits a Tuscan estate from a mysterious benefactor and finds herself thrust into the crosshairs of a dangerous conspiracy. Twisty, transportive, and haunting, this is suspense with a passport. So I am not really gripped, truthfully, by that premise. However, I love Lisa Scottolini, and she also makes me like courtroom thrillers, which I also am not a huge fan of. And so we're going to try it and see what we think. And then we have The Collector of Burned Books by Rosanna M. White. So this is a historical World War II novel about the power of words. Two people form an unlikely friendship amid the Nazi occupation in Paris and fight to preserve the truth that enemies of freedom long to destroy. So it's Paris, 1940. Ever since Nazi party began burning books, German writers exiled for their opinions or heritage have been taking up residence in Paris. Then they opened the library meant to celebrate the freedom of ideas and gathered every book on the banned list and even incognito versions of forbidden books that were smuggled back into Germany. For the last 6 years, Corinne has been reading these books and making that library a second home. But when the German army takes possession of Paris, she loses access to the library and all the secrets she'd hidden there. Secrets that the Allies will need if they have any hope of liberating the city she calls home. Christian Bauer may be German, but he never wanted anything to do with the Nazi party. He's a professor, one who's done his best to protect his family as well as the books that were a threat to Nazi ideals. But when Goebbels sends him to Paris to handle the relocation of France's libraries, he's forced into an army uniform and given the rank he doesn't want. In Paris, he tries to protect whoever and whatever he can from the madness of the party and preserve the ideas that Germans will need again when that madness is over, and maybe find a lost piece of his heart. So I love World War II bookish books and a romance. And Rosanna M. White is another author that I have not read anything from, but I want to. So there's that. Then we have The Lake Escape by Jamie Day. So she is a thriller author that I think I have liked. I know I like The Block Party. I've read a couple. I think I like The Block Party. This has kind of low ratings. I gave a 4-star to maybe 3.5 to The Block Party and a 3-star to One Big Happy Family. And then this is her next one, The Lake Escape. So this is an author that I have read to 0 so far. So will this be the best week of their lives or the last? Julia, David, and Erica grew up together, spending summers at their idyllic Vermont lake homes for as long as they can remember. Now adults with their own soul and teens, endless mortgages, and low voltage sex lives, the three friends have amassed secrets over the years. That summer, David is eager to show off his newly renovated home, which now blocks his friend's cherished lake views and his much younger girlfriend. He also unwittingly brings a nanny with a hidden agenda. What could possibly go wrong? When David's girlfriend mysteriously vanishes after a shouting match, Julia and Erica wonder just how well they know their lifelong friend. The lake harbors a harrowing 2 young women with no known connection, vanished without a trace 30 years ago. Did the lake take another? As a search is mounted, an intricate web of lies, deceits, and betrayals spanning generations start to surface, and everyone finds themselves in danger of becoming the next victim of the lake or of something darker. So, I'm hoping this is going to be good. She does kind of suburban drama, and this is on a lake, so hopefully it's great. Then we have Our Secrets Were Safe by Virginia Trench. Someone knows what really happened that night. So the night Sophia died. The guilty have escaped unscathed for a decade. Can you untangle this web of lies and discover the terrible truth? So this is blurred by Amy Tantera and Andrea Bartz, which Andrea Bartz I really liked. We Were Never Here, I think. 10 years after Sophia was killed in a tragic accident, her college ex Caroline and her former roommate Brooke almost have what they've always wanted. Caroline is on the precipice of scoring funding for her feminist tech startup. Brooke is newly engaged and starting her dream job at a prestigious prep school. But unless the two best friends can cheat fate for a second time, one night's secret could unravel everything. When Caroline gets threatening comments on her company's Instagram and Brooke receives a sinister email with an ominous photo attached, all from Sophia, their carefully constructed facade begins to crumble, and when one of their last connections to Sophia turns up dead, they must decide how far they're willing to go in order to survive. The devil's in the details, and the tiniest mistakes could prove fatal. Just one thing is certain, nothing is as it seems in this sinister series of events, and readers will never guess where the rabbit hole of revenge will lead. So prepare to have your allegiances shift along with every twist and turn. What was set in motion long ago is hurtling toward a jaw-dropping conclusion that will shock even the most hardcore thriller readers. So that sounds really good. Promising, for sure. It may be a big empty promise, but we'll see. Then we have The Goldens by Lauren Wilson. So I'm not sure about this one. It says a dark, intoxicating, and unputdownable thriller simmering with atmosphere. Chloe, which I like, I'm such a narcissist. I always pick up books with my name because I think it's interesting. Chloe has always dreamed of becoming a best-selling writer. Then she meets an enigmatic influencer, Clara Holland, and at last Chloe has something to write about. They bond instantly, and Chloe moves into Clara's mansion. But as Clara's fame skyrockets, she starts behaving strangely, hosting increasingly wild parties, complete with bonfire rituals and moonlit river baptisms. Clara opens up her home to other girls desperate to live like her. The media calls it a cult, and soon Chloe begins to hear unsettling rumors from Clara's past. After one spectacular party, a girl goes missing, and the rumors take on a sinister new meaning. If Chloe can't escape Clara's influence, she may be next. Cult thriller. Interesting. I had Clara on my list with one of my girls as her name, and that is completely aside the story, but I thought Chloe and Clara sounded too similar, so it'll be interesting. That would be a mouthful for a narrator if there's an audiobook. But then we have A Summer for the Books by Michelle Lindo Rice, and this has not great ratings so far, but not a lot of ratings. So fans of Jennifer Weiner and Sunny Hostin will love this emotional dual timeline novel about two former besties finding their way back to each other. So to heal their friendship, they have to face their past. Jewel has it all: the perfect marriage, a best-selling author career, her dream home, or so she likes everyone to believe. But between her writer's block and her husband losing his job, her picture-perfect life is in shambles, and inspiration just isn't hitting until she receives a call she never expected. Her former best friend needs her help. So this kind of reminds me of the Other People's Summers that I just read by Sarah Morgan. So when Shelby Andrews wakes up in the hospital after a biking accident, she can't remember the last 12 years. She knows she owns a bookstore on the beach, but she has no memory of Lacey, her 19-year-old adopted daughter who's away for the summer. There's only one person who can help Shelby through this, her bestie Jewel. With so many secrets and heartbreaks between them, Jewel and Shelby haven't spoken in years, yet Jewel can't turn away from the friend who doesn't remember their fallout. Besides, the best writing she's ever done was with Shelby. But when they learn Lacey's really spending her summer searching for her birth parents, their tentative reunion might just unravel along with all their secrets. So I don't know why that has low ratings. It sounds great. We'll see. Then we have Lucky Break by Jacqueline Westlake. So this is when a spate of bad luck upends her life, Eliza moves to a charming and mysterious Midwestern lake town where she might just find herself while trying to find the truth. Eliza has always had a plan until her meticulously plotted life implodes and her engagement falls apart. At 32, she suddenly finds herself second-guessing the picture-perfect future she'd always envisioned, one that included raising 2.5 children near her tight-knit Italian family in San Francisco. Then she's offered the chance to start over in Juneberry Lake, a small Midwestern town eager to lure remote workers to their picturesque communities. Shocking everyone, including herself, she packs up her apartment and buys a lake house sight unseen. Juneberry Lake is as delightful as it looks in the pictures, and the pictures didn't include Joel, a fellow new arrival who works alongside her every day in an adorable coffee shop. But if Eliza is hoping to spy her uncertain future in the shimmering waters of Juneberry Lake, she'll find herself out of luck because her friendly Midwestern neighbors are keeping a marvelous secret, one that will help Eliza see that her recent spate of bad luck was never her fault and that the tide can turn when you least expect it. So that sounds really cute. I wonder if it's going to specify, this is an Avon book. I wonder if it's going to specify what state or what area of the Midwest it's in, but we'll see. Then we have The Paradise Petition by Carolyn Brown. So this is 19th century Texas. Two tough-minded women dare to challenge the status quo in a warm, witty, and adventurous historical novel. Daisy and Lily traded a colorful past for a fresh start as seamstresses in Autry, Texas, and their aim to spark a women's right movement is raising eyebrows among the town's dumbfounded men. But among the ladies, tired of being treated like possessions, they have two amen sisters. Beulah, a sassy shop owner, as formidable as a cannon shot, is on board. So is Alma, a timid preacher's wife who has hit her breaking point. Before long, a courageous female posse has a liberating petition of demands. Surprisingly, they also have an empathetic ear in sheep rancher Matt McGuire, who's as keen on women's independence as he is on Lily. As Daisy and Lily make waves in the small town, their secrets threaten to come out, but they haven't traveled this far to let their past define them. In fact, with love and the forging of new lives on the line, they've never felt more defiant. Then we have Everyone is Lying to You by Joe Piazza. So this is the #tradwife murder mystery we've all been waiting for. I don't know what that means. From the best-selling author of The Sicilian Inheritance and the creator of Under the Influence podcast comes an explosive thriller about two estranged friends, a grisly murder, a sudden disappearance, and the truly shocking revelation that everyone's lying to you about something. So Lizzie and Bex were best friends in college, and after graduation, Bex vanished, leaving Lizzie confused and devastated. 15 years later, Bex is now Rebecca Summers, a traditional Instagram influencer with millions of followers who salivate over her perfect life on her ranch with her 5 children and handsome husband, Gray. Who does that sound like? Lizzie is a struggling magazine writer watching reels while her young children demand her attention. One night out of the blue, Bex calls Lizzie with a career-making proposition, an exclusive interview with her about her multi-million-dollar business venture, and an invitation to Mom Bomb, the high-profile influencing conference. At the conference, Bex goes missing, and Gray is found brutally murdered on their ranch. Yikes. Lizzie finds herself plunged in the dark side of the cutthroat world of social media that includes jealousy, sordid affairs, swingers, and backstabbing. She must learn who her old friend has become and who she has double-crossed to try to find her, clear her name, and maybe even save her life. Yikes. That sounds intense, but hopefully good. It's a mystery thriller. Early reviews are not bad, so hopefully it's good. Then we have Her Many Faces by Nikki Cloak. So it says, for readers of Girl A and Notes on an Execution comes a whip-smart and suspenseful story of a woman on trial for murder as told through the eyes of the most important men in her life. So daughter, client, lover, monster, victim. You were a sweet girl. You were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. You were a bomb going off in my life. You were a challenge. You were the story of a lifetime. When 4 wealthy and influential members are poisoned at London's most exclusive private club, a young waitress is arrested. As her personal life and upbringing are picked over, her obsession with online conspiracy theories is exposed. After the murder accusation, 5 men begin to question how well they really knew her. Do each of them, her father, a reporter, her former lover, her friend, and her lawyer. She is entirely someone different. But which is the true face of Catherine Cole? And is she a killer? So that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm intrigued. Then we have Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. So Lynn Painter is another author that I am really curious about. And this is published by Berkeley, so I don't know that it's clean, but maybe. A millionaire and house cleaner are a match made in heaven in this sparkling new romantic comedy by Lynn Painter. As a professional cleaner, Abby never thought her apartment would have any sort of infestation, but because of a building-wide outbreak, she now needs somewhere to stay for a week. As a part-time student with 2 jobs, she doesn't have many options. Then the solution presents itself. The owner of the penthouse she cleans is out of town for the week. She normally wouldn't consider it, but he's literally never around. She hasn't even met him. It goes great until one morning she finds 2 strangers in the kitchen. They're the parents of the penthouse owner, and they seem to think they've heard all about Abby, not as their son's maid, but as his girlfriend. Declan has always put his career first, working his way up to become an executive at his company, but he still has his sights set on the next level. When his parents mention that they met his girlfriend Abby, he all but chokes it on his escargot. As wonderful as it sounds that she was just darling, he doesn't actually have a girlfriend. He made her up to get everyone off his back. When Dex finds out who Abby really is, he makes her a proposition. Pretend to date him and he'll provide everything she needs during their little arrangement. What harm would it do? It's purely business, no pleasure, right? So, sounds super cute. Then we have This Stays Between Us by Sarah Oakes, maybe. And this is her sophomore novel After the Resort, which I have not read, but some people have, and some people have liked it. So this stays between us. 10 years, you can never escape a summer abroad. 10 years ago, 6 college students met in an Australian summer study abroad, ready to enjoy the break from their studies and travel the country. Their program is meant to introduce them to the beauty of Australia and immerse them in an unforgettable cultural experience. In reality, it's a thrill-fueled summer of outdoor excursions, adrenaline rushes, alcohol, lust, and friendship turned wrong. When Phoebe, a troubled girl with jealousies and fractures spreading like wildfire between them all, suddenly disappears, presumed to have run away in a small outback town, the group decides to pack up and leave the past behind. All their secrets hidden for good, or at least that's what they tell themselves. 10 years later, they each receive a call. They found Phoebe's body, and now it's time to return. So we've all read this trope before, but it's interesting when it's done right. Then we have Until Allison by Kate Russo. So the night Allison was murdered, Rachel could have stopped it. When Rachel finds out Allison, her childhood rival, is found dead in Pleasant Pond, the same place the 2 girls had first said goodbye to each other back in 8th grade, the town of Waterbury is outraged by the fear of losing one of their own, the heir to Maine's largest construction company. But it's a little more complicated for Rachel. She saw Allison the night she died. Callous, she said something she shouldn't have. She stirred up the past. The next morning, Allison was gone. Plagued by the complicated memories around Allison, Rachel joins her journalism crew to investigate. But as she revisits their fraught relationship, she falls into a web of cruelties that threaten to undo everything she understood about her past. An explosive literary thriller from Kate Russo Until Allison is a brilliantly incisive and resonant novel that is one about class, gender, and the arbitrary nature of violence. So maybe a little too much for me, but we'll see. Then we have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. So she's the author of The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. So this is a whimsical, heartwarming novel about a witch who has a second chance to get her magical powers and her life back on track. So Sarah used to be one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great Aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her guild. So none of this sounds like something I would necessarily be into. However, if it's like light, then maybe. Now she's slightly reluctant and just a bit grumpy, helps her aunt run an enchanted inn in Lancashire, where she deals with her quirky guest shenanigans, tries to keep said fox in check, and longs for the future that seems lost to her. But then she finds out about an old spell that could hold the key to restoring her power. Enter Luke, a handsome and icy magical historian who arrives on a dark winter evening and might just know how to unlock the spell's secrets. So he doesn't want to get involved in the going-ons of the inn, and he's definitely not about to let certain bewitching innkeeper past his walls. So no one's more surprised than he is when he agrees to help Sarah with her spell. So sounds cute, maybe. Okay, next we have Pugs and Kisses by Farah Roshan. So this is, from the outside, veterinarian Evie appears to have the perfect but boring life. She's desperate to figure out a way to shake it up, but gets more than she bargained for when she finds her fiance in bed with another woman. Suddenly, Evie is without a fiance or a job, and she isn't sure what her next step should be. That is until her college crush Bryson returns to town. Now a nationally recognized vet surgeon, Bryson is stunned when he encounters Evie Williams for the first time in half a decade. When they learn the animal shelter where they used to volunteer is in danger of closing, the two must work together to save it. It has Bryson wondering, can he and Evie also save the friendship they once shared and bring it to the next level? So I read a vet romance years ago. Like when I first got back into reading, I was probably actually in college at the time, and I loved it so much, and I have no idea what it was. And so since then, I've been drawn to like vet romances just to try to get that feeling again. And I haven't found one yet that I've loved, but maybe this will be the one. Then we have How to Sell a Romance by Alexa Martin. So let's see. This is a laugh out loud rom-com. Emerson loves everything about being a kindergarten teacher except the painfully low salary. Amen. It isn't until she hears about Petunia Lemon, an opportunity to sell makeup products, make some extra money, and meet a group of skincare aficionados that she begins to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sure, it sounds a little too good to be true, but what's worse that could happen? Investigative reporter Lucas doesn't always have a chip on his shoulder until his wife didn't always have a chip on his shoulder until his wife joined Petunia Lemon, drained their savings, and filed for divorce. Now he's a little bitter, a lot single, and determined to expose the company. After infiltrating their largest convention yet, the last thing he expects is to lose sight of his mission for one night with the gorgeous woman at the bar. When Emerson and Lucas learn that she's his daughter's teacher, they decide to ignore their scorching chemistry until things with Petunia Lemon turn downright diabolical and Emerson turns to Lucas for help. They work together to bring down the company, but can the two come out on top in this pyramid scheme of love? So as somebody who has been approached by many MLMs, I think this is just a funny premise, and hopefully will be really cute. Then we have Wes and Addie Had Their Chance by Bethany Turner. So again, she is I think she just does clean. I know I've read one by her that Cole and Layla are just friends, and I really liked it. So this is Wes left Addie at the altar 2 decades ago, and that was supposed to be the end of the story. When her life crashes and burns in a flurry of secrets and redacted, I don't know what that means, information, Addie hightails it home to a tiny mountain town of Adelaide Springs, Colorado, back to living with her dad, back to working a low-paying job, back to living a life of disappointments. Growing up, nobody expected their local girl to become a high-ranking CIA analyst married to a gorgeous CIA operative, but that was Addie's life until she lost everything. Now she's trying to pick up the pieces of her broken life with a little help from old friends, but there's one friend she knows her life is better without, Wesley, her childhood sweetheart who left her standing at the altar when they were 18 years old. Truth be told, Addie would be perfectly content never seeing his stupid face ever again, which makes it very inconvenient now that he's a beloved senator and presidential frontrunner, his face everywhere she looks. But that has nothing to do with Addie's personality. He might make history, but in her book, he is history. So when the unwelcome Wes appears back in their hometown, no one rolls out the red carpet. Not Addie and not the entire town that was forced to pick sides and unanimously chose Addie decades ago. Senator Hobbs certainly won't win the popular vote in Adelaide Springs. Wes, meanwhile, is sitting on a few secrets of his own, including the political scoop of the decade. He'd seriously rather gouge his eyes out than spend another minute in politics, much less go anywhere near the White House. Addie knows there has to be more to the story, and her curiosity is clouding her judgment. You can take the girl out of the CIA, but it's not so easy to shake the CIA out of the girl. So I think that's going to be really cute. Then on July 16th, we have a Kindle release called Dating Dr. Love by Rachel Dove. So we're poets and we didn't know it. This is an emotional read from the fantastic Rachel Dove. It doesn't have any blurbs. Let's see if the Audible does. Let's see. Career chaos. Dr. Chloe. Goodness, my name is becoming more popular, apparently. Dr. Chloe Henry is a no-nonsense surgeon gunning for a promotion. All that stands in her way is the smug colleague, Dr. Jonathan Carson, who's beloved by the board for his charm and simply being a man. With a one-week medical conference promises her a chance to shine, Chloe packs up her power suits and determination, ready to crush it, or at least avoid strangling Carson. Take once a day. Enter Logan, aka Dr. Dante Love, TV's hottest and most medically inaccurate neurosurgeon / plastic surgeon. After yet another scandal involving booze, starlets, and bad decisions, Logan's sent to the same hotel to lay low. But things go awry when Logan and Chloe crash into each other half naked in her bathroom. Cure viral chaos. To save face, Lauren proposes they fake date. Logan proposes they fake date. She's the real doctor to his fake one. He's the PR boost she didn't want. But as bickering turns to banter and sparks fly, Chloe, can Dante Love save her? Golly, Goodreads, get it together. Anyway, July 17th, When We Were Young by Elaine Hastings. So this is a debut author, and I believe this is going to be an Audible exclusive or an audio, I think an Audible exclusive from Avon. So this is Spring 1994. Will, a talented busker, falls for Emily, a quirky art student. By 1997, Will is playing Glastonbury's Pyramid Stage, and Emily is unveiling her first gallery show. They spent a whirlwind summer together, touring with Will's band, caught up in their love for their art and each other. But within 2 years, Will is dead. Spring 2016, Emily remains single. Her art is long forgotten. Now her life revolves around her 16-year-old daughter, Liv. But when Emily accidentally reveals she once knew Will, Liv is stunned. How could her ordinary, predictable mother have known someone like Will Bailey? And why does Emily blame herself for his death? Dual timelines. It explores what it means to have loved and lost and reminds you that the ones you love can set you free. Sounds sweet. Then July 19th, we have Living the Good Life by Celia Anderson. So this is a heartwarming feel-good story about embracing new beginnings. So let's see. The peaceful village of Willowbrook seems to be the ideal place for a new lease on life, at least according to Nell's husband, Barney. With an empty nest and coming towards retirement, he's persuaded her to try country living. Their cottage even has an annex that's perfect for Barney's widowed father, Frank. Nell is less sure about this fresh start, and it's not long before cracks in their 30-year marriage begin to appear. Instead of spending more time together, she and Barney seem to be drifting apart. Frank, too, is unsettled. A weekly community group exploring the secret of happiness provides a way for Nell and her father-in-law to navigate their new surroundings. They make friends, and I think it's going to be cute. Her husband's keeping secrets, but I think this is ultimately a romance. It is being published by Boldwood Books, and we'll just have to see how it goes. Then we have Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. So I believe this is her first adult book. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the author of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So it says returns with her first novel for adults, a twisty thriller about a young woman trying to solve her own murder. In 7 days, Jet Mason will be dead. And did I say this is July 22nd? Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Woodstock, Vermont. 27 years old, she's still waiting for her life to begin. I'll do it later, she always says. She has time until Halloween night when Jet is violently attacked by an unseen intruder. She suffers a catastrophic head injury. The doctor is certain that within a week the injury will trigger a deadly aneurysm. Jet has never thought of herself as having enemies, but now she looks at everyone in a new light. Her family, her former best friend turned sister-in-law, her ex-boyfriend. She has at most 7 days. And as her condition deteriorates, she only has one childhood friend, Billy, for help. But nevertheless, she's absolutely determined to finally finish something. She's going to solve her own murder. So I'm wondering if she'll still have the same kind of simplistic writing style, and like simplistic, not in a negative way, but in a very consumable way. I'm really intrigued. Then we have The Last Carolina Summer by Karen White. So this is, as a child, Phoebe developed the gift of premonition after she was struck by lightning in the creeks near her Charleston home. Plagued throughout her life by mysterious dreams and always living in the shadow of her beautiful sister Addie, Phoebe eventually moves to the West Coast as far from her family as possible. Now, years later, she's summoned back to South Carolina to help Addie care for their ailing mother. As Phoebe's return lures her back into deep-rooted tensions and conflicts, she is drawn towards Celeste, whose granddaughter went missing years ago. Their connection, woven through shared losses and hope, brings comfort to Phoebe, while Celeste's adult grandson Liam resurrects complicated emotions tied to Phoebe's past. But the longer Phoebe spends in her childhood home, the more her reoccurring nightmares intensify, bringing her closer to the shocking truth that will irrevocably change everything. Unfolding against the lush backdrop of South Carolina low country, The Last Carolina Summer is an unforgettable family drama and mystery about the unbreakable bonds of family and the gift of second chances. So this says it's a mystery, summer reads, mystery thriller, and then women's fiction. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, and I'm really curious. Then we have Love at Full Tilt by Jenny L. Howe. So this is, in this joyful celebration of fandoms, whirlwind romance, and plus-size girls, love is the ultimate roller coaster ride. I have a weird thing. Okay, I don't love roller coasters. I don't love carnivals. I get motion sick. I'm not a big fan. And yet, like, watching or reading anything about, like, amusement parks and that kind of stuff fascinates me. Why? I don't know. I think it's because my hometown, like, had a county fair every year, and it was, like, a big deal because I was from kind of a small town, and it was, like, a big deal where everybody went, and it was a very big social thing, even though I rode very few rides because, again, motion sick. I don't know. I guess that's why. But this is, Leah has spent the last few months wishing time would stand still. Soon her friends will head off to college while she's left behind, buried under her mom's anxiety and working a job she doesn't want. But life throws her for a loop when she wins a spot on the 50th anniversary scavenger hunt at Fableland, a legendary theme park. The contest is a golden ticket to a world where her favorite stories come to life and her chance for her to write some new ones of her own. Everything seems perfect, especially as she teams up with Mason, a cute rival who knows as much about Fableland as she does. Together, they're unstoppable. But as Mason's sweet smile starts to melt her focus, Leah realizes that she may have to choose between the future she wants to rewrite and a love story she hadn't planned for. So, again, sounds cute. The premise got me. The cover got me. So we go. Then we have Rush Week by Michelle Brandon. So this is a contemporary novel based on the TikTok phenomenon hashtag Bama Rush Talk about four sorority sisters brought back to the top tier house they ruled at the University of Alabama when secrets they thought long buried threatened to resurface. So four sorority sisters, each with dark secrets, they must stop the unexpected opening of a time capsule created as a part of a sorority rush ritual that was supposed to hold their deepest secrets buried forever. Then we have Friends to Lovers by Sally Blakely. This is another one that is going to be, I think, a cute romance. This says always each other's plus ones, but never each other's real dates. Two childhood best friends have one last summer wedding to fall in love in this dual narrative debut. So I love the whole childhood best friends. Like, I just love Friends to Lovers. I love it, especially when it's like a long-seated friendship. So this is best friends Joni and Ren have been inseparable since childhood. So when Joni moves across the country for her job, the two devise a creative way to stay in touch. They'll be each other's plus ones for every year for wedding season, no matter what else is happening in their life. It's a tradition that works until a line is crossed and the friendship they once thought was forever is ruined. Now Joni is back at their family's shared summer home for her sister's wedding, and she's determined to make this week perfect, even if it means faking a friendship with Ren and avoiding the truth of why they have to fake it in the first place. How hard can it be to pretend to be friends with the person who once knew you best? But as sunny beach days together turn into starry nights, Joni begins to question what her life is without Ren in it. And when the wedding arrives, bringing the past heartaches to the surface, she'll be forced to decide if loving Ren means letting him go or if theirs is a story worth fighting for. Oh, I just know it's going to be great. Then Third Time Lucky by Amy Brown. So this is Asher has spent his career creating and concocting the perfect dishes and is about to open his very own restaurant. Life is good. His love life, however, is far from cooking. He hasn't thought about Lucy in years, not since they both graduated, reeling from the shocking loss of her then boyfriend and her best friend Chris, who tragically died at 18. So when he witnesses the breakdown of her wedding and all its humiliating glory, old wounds and long-buried emotions resurface. As Lucy lands a right hook on her soon-to-be ex-fiancé in front of their entire wedding party, she has a moment of realization. Love is not on the menu for her. Fate, however, has other plans. A chance twist of events lands Asher as the private chef for Lucy's spirited grandmother, Mitzi, and what begins as an awkward encounter in Mitzi's Portland mansion soon evolves into a simmering connection she never expected. As Asher and Lucy work through their past, they discover a bond that feels both familiar and excitingly new. So sounds really sweet. Then July 23rd, we have The Lost Orphans by Ellie Curzon. So this is Kindle only, and this is London, 1941. Help me, Jack, is Elsie's last thought as the building crashes down around her and everything goes dark. Will she ever see her brother again? The war has robbed 8-year-old orphan Elsie of everything except her older brother, Jack. Evacuated together, hand in hand, they escaped a cruel farming family only to find their home destroyed, their mother gone. Wide-eyed, Elsie hasn't spoken since, and every night she cries for her mother and for their father lost at war. Wandering under the falling ash, their stomachs twist with hunger, and Jack knows he can't protect Elsie alone. But everything changes when they join a ragtag band of orphans, runaway evacuees who've returned to the city just like them. With nothing left to lose, the children stay above ground as Nazi planes fly overhead, determined to help others. But as they risk their lives, who will protect them? Then, during a night of terrible bombing, the unimaginable happens. Elsie disappears. Their faces streaked with tears, Jack and his friends search through the flames and smoke, knowing she has no voice to respond to their cries. Will anyone find her before it's too late, and will the orphans ever find a safe home? Oh gosh, and this cover just gets me. That is so sweet and sad and probably a heartbreaker. Then we have on July 24th, The Secret Between Us by Kate Hewitt. So Kate Hewitt is an author that writes a gut punch of a book, but my husband and I share a secret. How far will I go to keep it? In the middle of our school's bustling summer picnic, I watch Harriet walk purposely toward my husband, Michael. She places her hand on his arm, introducing herself and laughing at something he says. A knot forms in my stomach as I watch them. We've been here before, but I can't just walk away. Over the next few weeks, I try to keep Harriet from my family, but no matter what I do, she finds her way in. Her daughter and my twin boys become friends, and one night I find Harriet in my kitchen, smiling at my husband as she sips a cocktail. I feel like a stranger in my own home. That night, when I see her name light up on my husband's phone, I can barely breathe because I know this is more than just an affair. She's in our lives for a different reason. For years, I kept a secret buried deep because I thought I could hold my family together, but now I'm terrified Harriet's going to reveal it, and I'm going to lose everything. Whatever happens, I can't let her expose the secret between me and my husband, but what will I have to do to stop her? So I don't know that she has written thrillers before, maybe, but I think they're mostly like emotional dramas. So then we have Breakneck Bay by Faith Gardner. So this is a dangerous water park, a missing girl, a wife trapped in a nightmare. So like I said, the whole like amusement park situation gets me every time. So at Breakneck Bay, the rides are fast, the injuries frequent, and the lawsuits endless. But when a teenage employee vanishes after closing, leaving behind a blood-soaked crime scene, it's clear this summer will be the deadliest yet. Suspicion falls on park manager Mitch Blue, forcing his newlywed wife Kit to confront the cracks in their marriage and the unsettling secrets he's been keeping. But Kit and the police aren't the only ones looking for answers. Someone's watching from the shadows, waiting to finish what they started years ago. As Kit uncovers chilling ties between Mitch and the water park's dark past, she's left questioning everything she thought she knew, including whether she's sleeping beside a killer. Because at Breakneck Bay, the only thing deadlier than the rides is the truth. Okay, so we are almost done. We're at July 29th. Okay, we have The Last Letter of Rachel Ellsworth by Barbara O'Neill. So two women overcoming past traumas embark on a healing journey across continents in a novel about friendship, family, and rediscovery. So recently and abruptly divorced, Veronica is anxious for a new direction when she answers a listing for a travel companion. It's from Mariah, a young woman adjusting to an injury that ended her Olympic career. She's also grieving her mother, Rachel, a lauded food writer, and Mariah aims to trace the footsteps of her mother's final unfinished project so she can heal and also honor the woman she misses. Veronica seizes the opportunity to experience with Mariah the culture, traditions, and intoxicating aromas of Parsi? cafes through London, Paris, Morocco, and India. What does that mean? Parsi? Accompanied by a former war photographer who has a wounded history of his own, and with just Rachel's letters to guide them, the quest is a chance to not only close a chapter in life, but also begin a new one. Following letters one by one, each clue illuminating a mystery, Veronica and Mariah must face the painful and beautiful challenges of freeing themselves from the dark shadows of the past. Together, far from home, they can find the light. So that sounds really good and like armchair travel like I need. Then we have You Belong Here by Megan Miranda. So this is a thriller. It says a decades-old secret that drove a mother from her hometown now threatens her college-bound daughter in this twisty new thriller. Beckett never thought she'd return to Wyatt Valley, a picturesque college town in the Virginia mountains steeped in tradition. Her roots there were strong. Beckett's parents taught at the college. She never even imagined studying anywhere else until a tragedy her senior year ended with 2 local men dead and her roommate on the run, never to be seen again. For the last 2 decades, Beckett has done her best to keep her distance. Then her daughter Delilah secretly applies to Wyatt College and earns a full scholarship, and Beckett can only hope that her lingering fears are unfounded. But deep down, she knows that Wyatt Valley has a long memory and that the past isn't the only dangerous thing in town. So I have not loved Megan Miranda in the past, but maybe this will be the one. Then we have The Lies They Told by Ellen Marie Wiseman. So she's an author that I want to read. I have some of her books, haven't read any. Then this is in rural 1930s Virginia, a young immigrant mother fights for her dignity and those she loves against America's rising eugenics movement. Something that fascinates me. I have not read a ton about this eugenics movement, but I want to read more because it's just interesting. When widespread support for policies of prejudice drove imprisonment and forced sterilizations based on class, race, disability, education, and country of origin in this tragic and unlifting novel of social injustice, survival, and hope for readers of Susan Meisner, Kristen Hanna, and Christina Baker Klein. So I'm not going to read the whole synopsis, but that is enough to get me because it just sounds fascinating and heartbreaking. And Take My Hand by Dolans Perkins Valdez is something that I read. Like, I just devoured it because of that premise, and I really enjoyed it. Then we have She Didn't See It Coming by Sherry LaPena. So it says no one does suburban paranoia like Sherry LaPena, and that is correct. When a beloved wife and mother disappears, a luxurious condo building transforms into a potential crime scene, and the investigation begins. Can the detectives find her before it's too late? Bryden and Sam have it all. Thriving careers, a smart apartment and a luxury condo, supportive friends, and a cherished daughter. The perfect life for the perfect couple. Then Sam receives a call at his office. Bryden, working from home that day, has failed to collect their daughter from daycare. After arriving home with their little girl, he finds his wife's car in the underground garage upstairs in their apartment. Her laptop is open on the table, her cell phone nearby, her keys in their usual place in the hall, except Bryden's nowhere to be seen. It's as if she just walked out. So what happened? Did she actually leave, or was she forced to leave? Then we have We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall. So I am not sure. This has pretty good ratings so far. So this says 2 years ago, Mercy was hailed as a hero for saving lives during a mall shooting. She still carries souvenirs from that incident. The fragment of a bullet lodged in her back, a mountain of medical debt, and guilt for ignoring her sister's warnings about the sweet boy next door was anything but. When billionaire turned TV host Damien Dare recruits Mercy to compete on his new survivalist reality show, she can't turn down a chance at the whopping cash prize that could send her sister to college. But when she and the other contestants arrive at the off-grid location, something isn't right. The set's empty, the gates close without warning, trapping them inside. Then one of them turns up dead. What appeared at first to be a tragic accident quickly transforms as more contestants start dying. With time and resources running low, surviving the show takes on a new meaning. Yikes, that sounds like a nightmare. Then we have Your Every Wish by Stacey Finns. This says, a heartwarming and whimsical novel. 2 very different half-sisters discover they have one thing in their both in hot water. Why? I have never read so many awful Goodreads like synopses, but to get out of it, they may have to learn that life's hidden treasures are not always so hidden and that dreams can come true even if wishes don't. So scrappy, worldly Kennedy and soft-hearted Emma barely know each other, but when life throws them each curveball, they're suddenly living together in a rundown trailer park they've inherited from their late father in Nowhere, California, a town aptly called Ghost. After all, their neighbor, Madame Misty, is a soothsayer witch, and Halloween is just around the corner. So why this is coming out in July, I'm not 100% sure. A casino host, Kennedy, is hiding out from a high roller who wrongly thinks she stole tens of thousands of dollars from him. Emma, a flat broke advice columnist who can't take her own advice, has lost her apartment, and her on-again, off-again commitment-phobic boyfriend, Dex, He's still no help. She's still charmed by Ghost, its quirky residence, and the enigmatic guy who lives in trailer 510, while Kennedy is sure their father hid a fortune somewhere. She's determined to find it, even if it means turning to Madame Misty. When Madame Misty grants them 3 wishes, their Kennedy wants money, Emma just wants Dex. But as the nights get chillier and Halloween descends, a special kind of magic ensues, one that will reveal surprising truths about their father, themselves, and what they really want out of life. So this sounds like it's got potential, but maybe more around the October time. Then we have Guess Again by Charlie Donnelly. So this is an author, again, that I've never read. This list is really exposing me. On the 10th anniversary of a teenage girl's disappearance, her cold case breaks open in dangerous ways and threatens to tear apart her small Wisconsin town all over again in this masterfully twisty new psychological suspense. For fans of Riley Sager, Anna Downs, Alex Finley, Stacey Willingham, and Karen Slaughter. So that's kind of like a variety that is a lot of name drops. 10 years ago, 17-year-old high school volleyball star Callie vanished from her quiet Wisconsin lake community. A highly publicized search followed, but her body was never found. The case went cold, but the echoes still linger. Ethan, a former renegade detective turned ER doctor, left law enforcement to escape the horrors of the kid crime division. But on the 10th anniversary of Callie's disappearance, his former partner Pete makes a desperate request. Pete is the veteran detective who was originally investigating the case. Now he's dying to ease his conscience and get closure for the Jones family. He needs Ethan to return to the haunting work he left behind and solve what happened to Callie once and for all. Word soon spread, and everyone in the small town of Cherryview feels a rush of hope that answers will finally be found. Amid a sweltering heat wave, Ethan's investigation gains momentum, but re-examining old evidence won't be enough. Let's see. He needs a way into the case, no matter how dangerous or unconventional. And it comes from the least likely of sources, an inmate at a maximum security prison. Soon, Ethan's methods draw him deeper into a twisted psychological game because there's so much more to the nightmare of Callie's disappearance than he imagined, including a connection to his own dark past and secrets that are worth killing for. Yikes. Then we have Under the Stars by Beatrice Williams. Yet another author. I've heard a lot about her, haven't read her. A daughter and her famous mother return to Winthrop Island to confront their complicated past, and they discover a secret trove of paintings that connect them to a mysterious woman who vanished on a luxury steamship 2 centuries earlier. So, for some reason, like paintings and art and all that kind of stuff is like an anti-buzzword. But like I said, Beatrice Williams is somebody that I've wanted to try for so long. So this is Audrey. She struggled all her life to emerge from the shadow of her mother because her mom's famous, forging her career as a world-class chef. Meredith Fisher's glamorous screen persona disguises the trauma of the accident that haunts her dreams. Neither woman wants to return to the New England island they left behind and its complicated emotional ties, but Meredith has one last chance to sober up and salvage her big comeback. And where else but discreet, moneyed Winthrop Island can a famous actress spend the summer without the intrusion of other people, until Audrey discovers an old wooden chest among the belongings of her estranged bartender father, Mike Kennedy, and the astonishing contents draw the woman deep into the Winthrop's past and its many secrets, attracting the interest of their handsome neighbor, Sedge Peabody. How did a trove of paintings from one of America's greatest artists wind up in the cellar of the Mogan Inn? And who is the mysterious woman portrayed on every canvas? On a stormy November night in 1846, Providence Dare flees Boston and boards the luxury steamship Atlantic, one step ahead of the law, or so she believes. But when a catastrophic accident leaves the ship at the mercy of a mighty gale, Providence finds herself trapped in a deadly game of cat and mouse with the one man who knows her real identity, the detective investigating the suspicious death of her employer, the painter Henry Irving. As the Atlantic fights for her life and the Iraqi shore of the Winthrop Island edges closer, a desperate Providence searches for her chance to escape before the sea swallows her without a trace. So in Under the Stars, the destinies of 3 women converge across centuries as a harrowing true disaster at the dawn of the steamship era evokes a complex legacy of family secrets in a modern-day New England. So we'll see. That, like I said, it's got some anti-buzzwords, but we'll see. Okay, now this one is The Good Liar by Denise Mina. So this is a shorter book. It's a provocative mystery. Let's see. Dr. Claudia O'Steele is approaching the podium at an elegant fundraiser where she is expected to give a speech about how her forensic science evidence helped convict the brutal killer in her most famous, The Incident at Chester Terrace, a sensational double murder that ignited the country just 1 year before. But the research has moved on. The evidence Claudia was junk science used to put William Stewart away for murder and his father and his girlfriend. Because of her, an innocent man is in prison, and she didn't act alone. Some very powerful people have an agenda, and she is only beginning to understand. This speech might be her last chance to reveal the truth and catch the real murderer, but admitting her mistake will cost her reputation, her career, her home, her security for her 2 sons, the esteem of her colleagues, and the pride of a nation obsessed with her success. In this breathless upmarket suspense novel, the interwoven with the present-day framework is a past narrative that slowly reveals what actually happened the night of a devastating double murder in a wealthy family. So, yeah, I don't know. That seems good. Then we have Mean Moms by Emma Rosenblum. So this is a deliciously satisfying and suspenseful story about what happens when a clique of wealthy Manhattan private school moms start getting a taste of exactly what they deserve instead of just what they can pay for. So this is about 3 women, a gorgeous group of New York City moms, the Queen Bees in Manhattan. Their children attend a seminary, Atherton Cemetery, the top private school in the city. Their lives revolve around their kids' themed parties. And then on the first day of school, the arrival of a new mom, a mysterious beauty from Miami named Sophia, shakes up their world. When Sophia quickly integrates herself into the clique, inexplicably bad things start to happen to the women. So Frost is the first victim of a hit-and-run electric scooter accident. Nell's dream of launching a fashion line is thwarted when clothing samples cause people to break out in a rash. Morgan's new sound bath spa is robbed at gunpoint. Morgan declares it all a negative event cluster, but the women aren't so sure. Is someone out to get them? Another mom with a vendetta? Let's not forget to mention the handsome headmaster, Dr. Broker, who every mom has a crush on, and one of them might be sleeping with. Spanning the course of one eventful fall in New York, ending with a surrealist New Year's Eve ball and a possible death, Mean Moms is part satire of upper crust momming and part mystery, interrogating the line between friendship and jealousy and getting at the question, what would happen if the woman standing next to you at school pickup was actually a sociopath? I don't know why. That sounds hilarious to me. Then Gracie Harris is Under Construction by Kate Hash. So this is a debut about Gracie. She never intended to become the queen of grief, but when an essay she writes the night of her husband Ben's memorial goes viral, she lands a popular column on love and loss and an impressive book deal. Now, the biggest tragedy of her life is the center of her world. With a looming book deadline and her kids at summer camp, Gracie escapes for a summer solitude to the ramshackle mountain house she and Ben bought for their family just before his death. When charming contractor Josh arrives at her doorstep to help renovate the home, Gracie discovers an unexpected connection that's energizing and surprisingly flirtatious. As her feelings and resilience grow, Gracie must decide whether she's ready to embrace this new version of herself. Gracie's first happily ever after didn't last as long as she expected. Now she has to wonder, could Josh be her second chance for another great love story? So hopefully that's cute and sweet. It's published by Dutton. Then we have The Cleaner by Mary Watson. This does not have great early ratings, but this is about a woman named Esme. She's meant to be invisible, a cleaner for an exclusive gated neighborhood in Ireland. Esme fades into the background, slipping in and out of kitchens and closets, quietly observing her clients' perfect domestic lives. Their entitled families only see a quiet woman with a mop in hand who speaks with an accent they don't bother to place, and that's exactly what she wants. Esme is well aware that her employers don't truly see her. To them, she's a foreigner who cleans up their messes. But there's one mess she refuses to clean up because Esme is not a cleaner. She's come to this neighborhood for one purpose and one purpose only. And that is revenge. So she is armed with a duster and a cunning plan. Esme can soon find herself entangled with the very people that she came to destroy. So I don't know why that has such awful ratings, but sounds good to me. Then we have The Other Side of Imani by Lisa Springer. This is a story about, it's a middle grade, about a 13-year-old girl named Imani who wanted to be a fashion designer. But fashion designers are bold out there and in your face. And despite her unique sense of style, Imani has trouble fitting in, let alone standing out. Entering her new school's design competition for a scholarship to the nearby art school seems like the perfect way to make new friends and get closer to her dream of being a designer. Then Imani's designs are stolen by one of her classmates, and Imani is forced to enter the competition anonymously under a virtual persona of her own creation, Estelle. When Estelle goes viral, Imani must figure out how to be her real self as she finds her true friends and her voice, all while hoping to win the competition. So it sounds sweet. And then last, we have July 31st, The Baby Group by Jade Lee Wright. So this says it's a psychological thriller, one of the most astonishing twists you'll read this year. 6 mothers to be, one of us is lying. My fiance and I traded our cramped London flat for a beautiful beach house on the Cornish coast. With our first child on the way, it's the perfect place to start a new life. Quiet,
quiet, peaceful, and safe. But the isolation is suffocating. Alex is working all hours, and he's showing no interest in our wedding plans. So I join an antenatal class, a chance to make friends with other moms to beat. That's where I met Cora, Carmen, Violet, Rachel, and Lucy. We bond over baby names, birth plans, and the sleepless nights ahead. But something's wrong. I don't like the way Lucy looks at Alex. I've heard whispers about her husband's first wife and how she died. At one of our get-togethers, she clutches Violet's baby a little too tightly. The child begins to choke. No one forgets how long it takes takes her to let go. I should have trusted my instincts. The closer I get to my due date, the more frightened I feel. It seems like I'm falling apart, but I know my baby's in danger. That sounds terrifying. 6 women seems like a lot, but maybe it'll work and maybe it won't be confusing. So, okay, so that new format, doing it that way, obviously took a lot longer. But some of you were saying that you didn't feel like you got adequate synopses on some of the books. And so I think hopefully that will be remedied this way. Like I said, let me know down below. I'm thinking I'm going to try to just block out a chunk of time, get a babysitter or something, and do this in a live for like in July for August anticipated. I might try to do it that way and see what you guys think about that. Because yeah, this video is a lot. It's really exciting to talk about it, but I don't want to take all of your time and have you here forever. So if you watched it this far, you are the best. Let me know which ones you're excited for, and let me know your feedback on how you want me to do these. If you want me to do them in lives, I'm probably not going to do them in chunks just because I don't think I can make that work, especially July is going to be a lot of content with Deca TBR-a-thon. So we'll just see. Let me know if you have any ideas, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.